Listening to Zubes and Joshy breaking down a dynamite. Wednesday night's the night for streaming. Wednesday night's alright, alright, alright. Ooh. Wednesday, 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 Wednesday. Wednesday night's alright. Wednesday, 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 Wednesday. Wednesday night's alright. Back like a bad habit, better than you've ever had it. You are rocking with the Thursday night year-end A show. We're here for the best of worst of 2025 in pro wrestling, and I'm with the routines of Josh Custodio here to do it 2025 style with our super producer, Bobby Two Beers. Bobby on camera and looking sharper than ever. How are you tonight, brother?
I'm good. I'm trying to center you in the frame here as I'm talking.
I move, right? This is always the complaint, is that I'm everywhere.
And that's okay. We want you everywhere.
I'm a mobile guy. I like to be in motion. How's everyone doing tonight? What are you drinking? I have sparkling water in a Bisbee, Arizona mug. What's this on the back? Dynamite? That's sort of fitting. I never really realized that.
Yeah, it's in the song that we just listened to.
Yeah, I guess that's absolutely true, isn't it? They are really listening to Zubes and Josh C now drinking Dynamite. Everybody's here for one thing, Bobby. The results of the year-end survey, just over 400 results this year in 2025 of best of worst stuff to get to. We don't want to keep people from that for too long, but of course, if you're here for a first time, hit the follow button. If you want to give a little gift of the season, hit subscribe, gift a subscription to somebody who is here for the first time, all that song and dance. If you have Amazon Prime, you have Twitch Prime, which means you get one free subscription to Twitch. Just click gift a sub, log into Amazon Prime, and instead of giving Jeff Bezos 100% of the money, a little bit of it comes our way. Highest BRL is sipping on Starry Zero Cranberry. I had that when I was down in the US last weekend. I thought quite good.
I'm about to open one of these. You ever had these bad boys, Josh?
Oh yeah. Yes, a Magners, sure.
It's a very Christmas drink for me.
I get that. What else occupies that space for you? Do you have other like go-to Christmas beverages?
I mean, I don't really drink any spirits ever except rum sometimes. So I guess a rum drink, like one for the whole season, would be my thing. I'm not really a big hard guy, hard liquor guy.
I don't even know if they still do. Does Witchwood Brewing still make the beer Bah Humbug, chat? Is that real? Witchwood Brewing's Bah Humbug? It's like a very nutmeggy, cinnamony beer. I used to down a few of those around Christmas.
I can only think of the Granville Island Winter Ale or Winter Lager, whatever it's called.
I've horseshoed with that thing 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, those are sweet. Very sweet.
Yeah, they're like cereal beer.
Yeah. Maybe too much for me, yeah.
Not bad here and there. All right, folks, you're not here for that. You're here to learn about the answers to the results. I think we just get to it, Bobby. Should we fire up the slideshow? Still to come. Yeah. The Zubes will call in and we'll go through the entire behind the scenes of our Twitch channel. Get a lot of information. I don't think most people are giving away this kind of stuff. We'll show you our Twitch Wrapped, some surprises along the way, including we are announcing a new show for the channel tonight. I saw some buzz in the Discord guessing at what it could be. No one got it right, Bobby. Not anybody. So a show that I didn't see guessed anywhere being announced for the channel tonight. Exciting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to launch something new, probably good if it's a brand new original idea.
Well, normally I just try to rip something off that's already successful and see if I can get like 10% of that rub. But you're right. This is also a path that you could take. All right, let's see what the first category is here, Bobby. What are we looking at?
We are starting off with the promo of the year.
Now, this is one very near and dear to my heart. Who had the best time on the mic this year, and what did they say? Let's get to the 3 answers from the survey.
Okay. So all of you watching the collective Wrestling Brain universe, Tony Storm's Whatever Happened to Mariah May?
Top prize.
Darby Allin on Mount Everest. I mean, that is pretty cool to be able to do a promo from that vantage point with the AEW flag and all that. And Darby Mox in prison. I never saw this one, so I can't speak to it.
Well, let me go through them real quickly. I'll go in reverse order here. Darby Mox in prison. This is the one that was shot, I believe, by Sick Nick Mondo. We have no proof. They never acknowledge any of this stuff, but this is just my guess. I was happy to see it here. I actually didn't remember it when I was thinking of mine, but a very well shot, well executed promo. And I think from one that is just from a feud that people think really fondly of. In the
Mm-hmm.
second spot, like you said, Darby on Mount Everest. I don't think it's the material of the promo itself. It's simply that, and I love when people think of it this way, to be honest. Like, this is a great answer to me, where it's promo of the year. And Darby on Mount Everest is such a great candidate for that. Will never be repeated, will be talked about forever. So absolutely love that. But I think why Tony Storm, with whatever happened to Mariah May, won the top spot, Bobby, is because this sort of seems to be a curse that Tony Storm put on her and is now coming to life in front of us. Poor Mariah May having the time of her life over an OXT. An absolute disaster. My youngest sister, Judelyn, who I believe is in my living room right now, visiting from earlier, saying, "Hi, Josh. Jude, if you are seeing this and you want to come on camera, you're more than welcome to come say hi." But a big hi to first-time chatter, Jude Custodio. What a great name.
I love seeing
Great
that.
privacy name there.
Yeah, you're really protecting the business on that one. Yeah.
Promo of the year. What did I say, Bobby?
You said, yeah, this is such a great choice. Hangman Page in Arena Mako. The moment that he opened his mouth, the story goes that that the brass, the top brass, the office people in CMLL immediately turned to Tony Khan and said, "How do we book this guy into more of our shows?"
That's, yeah, and why not, right? I think that was the moment, and we'll get into this a little bit later on, but what a dynamite. And just again, in an of the year sense, this is something historical that I will think about as a promo, sort of his signature promo, and how he has this working ability of Spanish because he worked on his father's farm alongside these Mexicans. And I just thought that was incredible to see him do it. Now, I can't speak to how good his Spanish was. From what I understand online, it wasn't great, but it was confident, and he admitted that it wasn't great. So it was that endearing sort of second
Yeah,
language delivery. So
exactly.
it seemed to get over amazing in the arena. So for me, Hangman Page in Arena Mexico, promo of the year.
Yeah, it's when I read your choices here, I was like, oh man, I should have thought of that. Mine actually,
That's why I host the show.
that's
Bobby.
right. That's right. I'm surprised that mine. I think a lot of people might not remember that this was in 2025 because it was so early in 2025. But mine
Right.
was with a bullet. Nothing could touch it. At least in my mind, until I read you saying Hangman in Arena Mexico, I'm like, maybe that's better. Was just the Tony Storm. What makes you think I've forgotten? Which is not the same thing as the whatever happened to Mariah May. This is like when she was still doing the whatever her Sunset Strip gimmick is called, and pretending that she didn't remember who Timeless Tony Storm was. The only thing about this is it was like January 29th or something. I looked it up because I had to make sure it was this year. It was. So that could easily make people forget about it. And it was on a Collision. It was such a weird throwaway time that they did it, but it was legitimately the best promo delivery. They did the build for it so perfectly. It's a shame that not as many people saw it as they probably should have. But to me, there was nothing else even close to that in terms of a classic in-ring wrestling promo delivered against someone you're feuding with. It checked all the boxes for me.
Love it. And I think we're going to be hearing plenty about Tony Storm in that feud tonight. So let's go to our next category. Congratulations to Hangman Page and Tony Storm. And Darby Allin involved in 2 promo of the year. It's not quite, not the traditionalist senses when he got there. And I think that's worth noting.
Sting is going to be so
I'm
proud.
Joe with the same pick as me, and Kyle Cushman at the same pick as you. So 2 huge guy who gets it, getting down.
I feel like, some holographic sticker owners in there.
No doubt. I mean, Kyle Cushman has them all.
Yeah, that's right. I had to give him mine.
No one's won a fabric sticker yet, though, Bobby, which, of course, at patreon.com/J0SHC, we have pick'em sheets, even for the free patrons. And if you pick perfect, you win a specialty sticker. Harder than it sounds, Bobby. I've only ever won 3, ever. across all the time doing this.
Yeah, the only specialty sticker that I won, I got simply because of the contestant in the WBCW Knuckle Duster that I was assigned. I didn't do anything for it. I just got it.
Well, you still have one, and
I
that's
do.
all that counts to me.
I do.
Let's get to the next one. My sister Jude letting me know she's watching, but she left because she's worried the power is going to go out, which is very understandable.
Yeah, that
If
sounds.
this stream ends, that's what happened.
That's a common occurrence for you lately.
It's insane.
So feud of the year. Let's. It's the juices flowing here. Thinking about some fun feuds. Let's see what the people said. So Tony Storm versus Mariah May, no surprise, right? Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley, not featured in one of those promos that we talked about, but Hangman referenced. And Mox versus Darby, which was the source of 2 of those promos in the top 3.
Really nice answers here, I thought, by all. You can just reveal mine because I'll talk about it alongside the second place, but I'll focus on Tony Storm versus Mariah May for a second because I'm not surprised this was first place. I think it was truly great and has many memorable moments. For me, the second place winner from the survey, Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley, is just harder to do. And for that, that was what eked out this feud, these people, in many slim decisions tonight. But Tony Storm Mariah May is just an incredible blood feud. And I shouldn't say just there, is an incredible blood feud. And that is so hard to do and is somehow rarer than it should be. And it was great to see and made that title and really elevated both these people. However, for me, Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley was real wrestling. It was, or real pro wrestling, I should say, where a character says something real and then they do it and a bunch of people get over while they're doing it. It's just really the most satisfying arc I can think of Death Riders. We need to elevate baby faces. We need to do this. We need to do that. And they do it all. And it's just, I think, expert level. And I'm not sure we'll see something done like that again. You know, people were saying, oh, the bloodline's one of the best things ever. From what I could tell, it was a complete snooze until Sami Zayn made it a little bit interesting. And then everything went at the speed of cement. This had some low moments early. I hated the Adam Copeland portion of it. I didn't think the Orange Cassidy part was especially compelling, but I really thought that was the feud of the year. And Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin, I'm happy to see getting a bunch of votes there in the third spot too, I should say.
Yeah, they definitely did a lot of groundwork for that one, so glad to see that people noticed and enjoyed it that much. I was 100% on the same page as you for Hangman versus Mox. I think that the all-in main event was pretty much like as sublime as a wrestling payoff gets, as a the final match of a feud, that kind of thing. It's basically what we're all here for. And that's not to take away anything from what Tony Storm and Mariah May did. It was incredible. Front to back, really awesome. But the thing that you're hoping to see, and there are many years that go by where you don't see it even once in a year, is the Hangman Mox story, how they pulled it off, they stuck the landing. I mean, people, easy to forget too, a huge amount of that was also the Swerve part of the story, which is years long storytelling, right? With no deviation. Like, they had a plan and they saw it through. It wasn't dragged out. It wasn't, recooked and reheated a billion times. Like, it was just perfectly laid out, perfectly paced.
Love it. But really great options across the board and happy to see all these on there. Let's get to the next category. Congratulations to Hangman and Tony, the winners of both categories.
Again, yes.
Tag team of the year. What'd they say, Bobby?
Surprisingly, Brodito, surprising to me. I mean, they were fun, but not a tag team to start 2025. So that's where it's surprising. 2 singles guys really showing people something they love in tag team wrestling. So that's good to see. FTR, perennial contenders for this, and the Young Bucks as well. I don't really see how or why this year, but God bless.
I think the field was maybe a little weak this year. I love what FTR is doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Since the heel turn, especially since winning the titles, I really loved them. But I didn't really feel like their year to me. I actually understand the Brodito vote a little bit more, even
Yeah.
though I like more what FTR is doing. I just think that Brodito did emerge this year, and the tag team scene sort of went around them, and they did get over. So
Yep.
in that way, I like them. But I'm with you. I really didn't think the Young Bucks had an especially good year, to be honest. I probably would have had. Well, I mean, you can show them who I had. I definitely would have had them outside of my top three. Yuto Ice, Oscar, line them up, knock them out. My guys, the Knockout Bros. Listen, Bobby, you listen to my New Japan content. You've heard me bemoan, push Yuya Uemura,
Mm-hmm.
push Yota Tsuji, push Ren Narita, push Rahoye Oiwa. Ignore me. Forget I said any of that. Push Yuto Ice. We've been looking for the next guy. The search is over.
That's the guy
He has
for you.
frosted tips in 2025. He hangs out with a big goth.
Yeah.
They have really, really sound tag team psychology. I hate such a. I really struggled because I wanted to find a more clever comparison. It was just like, oh, you're going to compare them to the other New Japan tag team. But they do have a Bishamon thing going for them, where what I love about them is that they're classic tag team wrestlers dripping in personality, and their dynamic comes across. If you watch one of their matches, you know who Yuto Heis and Oscar are.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's maybe weirdly rare, and especially for tag teams where you have another person to play off of, more area to get your personality over. I thought these guys emerged this year. I loved their wrestling. I loved seeing them on shows. They're one of the draws in New Japan for me right now. Yuto Ice and Oscar, the Knockout Bros.
Yeah, it's and New Japan needs them badly. So I think that also, it makes them more exciting because it's what you tune into their show for potentially on some nights, right? Whereas
100%.
even as good as FTR has been at times, I think for most AEW fans, probably not what they're tuning in to watch. Or Brodito in this case, just a really nice bonus to have on a AEW show for most people. Knockout Bros probably a couple times you've watched a New Japan show the next morning or something, and that's why you were tuning in, was to see them. So that is cool.
Frederick putting it really well here. Yuto Ice is cool, and Oscar is big. Don't need to say any more than that. The Zubes pointing out very correctly, Hurt Syndicate had a moment where they could have had this locked, but they hate tag team linearity. They hurt tag team linearity. They hurt tag team linearity.
That's right.
Those guys really, I can't go down that road, but
we'll have time to go down that road throughout the rest of these categories, I think.
Don't have anything nice to say about them. Let's get to the next one. Congratulations to Brodito and the Knockout Bros.
I will give a shout. I was thinking about what my answer for this would be. I did think FTR in the end is probably where I would go. The reason that I did is pretty indirect, so I'll just quickly say that. I actually considered giving a vote to, and this probably also says how dire tag team wrestling has been this year, really, all over North America. But I was thinking about teams that had impressed me in the year, things that I hadn't expected. Obviously, Brodito more so than this team, but one of the teams that came to mind was Tommy Billington and Adam Priest. And
yeah.
They had two pretty awesome, like not super long, not super drawn out, but two awesome, like 15, 17 minute, whatever matches back to back against FTR. And then that made me think, well, it's just FTR is awesome. Like no knock on those two guys. They're pretty good up and coming team. But like the reason I'm even thinking about them in December is because of FTR. So
yeah, I like that. And that is true. I think that the future's bright for both those guys in AEW.
Me too.
Not main eventers, but I actually think keeping them as a tag team wouldn't be the worst idea either.
Yeah, at least for a while. Whatever they're doing is working now. Whatever they think they can do with them probably won't work as well. So just keep it going if it's working.
1848 might keep putting it well here. We hate pinfalls. We hate pinfalls.
Yeah.
Very nice. They did hurt tag team linearity as well, though. Let's not.
They did both. They hated
Not at ringside for the
pinfalls.
pin. Give me a damn break.
Pathetic. All right, most improved wrestler. Lots of ways
I've got to
you can interpret
say,
this.
one of the most do you have a word for this, Bobby? Unanimous
Yeah.
of all the survey results. This the first place winner here was first place by a lot of votes.
Well, probably no surprise. We'll reveal it here.
A dominating win for the light skin Kingpin. There's only one leader of the demand, Ricochet, your most improved wrestler of the year. Now, Bobby, it's usually somebody earlier in their career
Yeah.
who wins most improved. And I think that is worth noting for how it's even more impressive that Ricochet here, who I've been familiar with, and I don't mean this as some sort of flex, but it's like Chuck Taylor's protege on the indies and in PWG. And there's this whole, he doesn't feel like somebody who would be most improved in 2025.
A
And yet
guy
you
who,
can reveal my answer too. I think he's kind of the only answer. My enjoyment of him, where it was and where it is, has just traveled so far. How about you?
I also picked Ricochet. I straight up hated this guy the first 6 months or whatever he was in. I don't even know what the time scale is, but the first little while that he was in AEW.
The Ospreay match, the AR Fox match.
The worst thing I'd seen, I think, altogether, not that it was the worst match, but if you remember when they finished out the Continental Classic last year, they had the semifinals and then the final on the same night, so you had to wrestle twice.
Yep.
The first, so Okada obviously won the tournament. The semifinal match he had to do earlier in the night was against Ricochet, and it was straight up the worst Okada match I've ever seen in my life. Like, it was really, it was worse than any of his like money clip, lazy call-in matches in New Japan that people complain about a lot. It was just really bad, and I was completely despondent about the fact that Ricochet was in the company and being presented at a high enough level that he is in the semifinals against Okada, making Okada look terrible. Like, it was awful. I was not having a good time with AEW because of it. So for me to be on his side now is unthinkable to me, to get there from where it was last January.
And I think maybe you more than most, but all of us have closed that gap with Ricochet in a pretty meaningful way this year. I mean, his wrestling style is so sort of the antithesis to what my preferred out of the box archetypical wrestler is. And yet I'm looking forward to seeing him on shows, and what a credit this guy has been. He's also just a wonderful poster. I love somebody that is so unafraid to burn a bridge, and he is just so clear in fuck that place mode about WWE. And he just gets 100 points from me for that. He's not trying to protect his job or his future there. He's like, nope, the people there, like, what? Anyway, I've had a lot of fun with Ricochet this year. Let's talk about the other two people here, Harley Cameron and Marina Shafir. Again, not a ton of votes for these two. There's a lot of Ricochet.
Yeah.
So some categories can be a little misleading when they're presented 1, 2, 3. It looks sort of 33, 33, 33. This definitely was not. I can't really remember how good of a wrestler Harley Cameron was last year, but I still don't think she's some wonder kind. So I'm not 100% sure about this one. I'd probably be more inclined to go with the third place here, Marina Shafir, who's somebody who I think, while has her limitations in ring, has a deep understanding of her character. And the Death Rider Marina Shafir is a type of wrestler, and I'm always happy to see her in ring.
Yeah, I think with both of them too, there's a bit of that. It comes down to how you interpret most improved, because I think it's undeniable that they probably both have improved more than Ricochet, but it doesn't mean that they're good enough now to be true. Top of card wrestlers. So it depends on how you interpret it. I like to think of it in the emotional interpretation, not like the actual like measurement of some unit of improvement.
Who did I come the furthest with?
Exactly, yeah. And like Harley, I think a lot of us are happy that she's gone from being, the QTV person you'd least want to see on television to being someone that you respect for using her time so well. Zubes has pointed it out tons of times that she's the person who just uses every 30 seconds she gets.
More than once, people were in our mentions saying I was a hater because I didn't like QTV.
I'm struggling for words here, because at a certain point, you have to have standards, or else why even watch anything? Like,
like unfollow me. Like you're obviously just not interested in criticism about it at all. And that's fine. But certainly somebody like me who not only do I enjoy art, I enjoy criticism about art. And so somebody just being like, don't be a hater when I'm like, we can't do anything better with Powerhouse Hobbs. It's like, all right, man.
It's crazy. Yeah. I was so, not to, that's like 3 years ago or something. And we're on the 2025 year end show. But like when he won the TNT title with QT Marshall before they revealed that it was a fake TV show that they were doing or whatever, I was actually like, hey, this could be awesome. Like QT Marshall is annoying, and they could harness that in a way that is good. But obviously, no. Yeah, they got Hobbs the hell out of there, which is good.
Congratulations to Ricochet. Big win for really a road traveled this year. Let's see what's next. Oh,
best title reign.
This is a fun one. Who did people interpret as having the best title reign of the year? Let's see their three. Ooh.
Interesting picks to me. So Toni Storm's women's world title run. We'll get into it, but the promo of the year votes, the feud of the year votes totally makes sense to me. As a title reign, doesn't make any sense to me at all. Bandito ROH, I get this because of how many spectacular defenses he's had that have been kind of peppered into weird shows that you wouldn't expect, and that's really great. Not really even the most defining title that he's held this year for him though, somehow still. So and Hiroki Goto, my heart wants to have voted for this, but it was just cut too short, unfortunately.
Bobby, I was just about to say, the Hiroki Goto voters, you have my respect.
Yes.
You bent over backwards. You broke your brain. You ignored the evidence, and you were like, that felt great. That was great 3 months. Yeah. And I'm with you. That was a momentous. You never get that in wrestling. Oh, you know what? The old stalwart, we're actually going to do it. And he's going to beat all the young guys and be spectacular. Yeah, it was awesome.
All the matches are going to be the best you've ever seen him do. It's just so awesome.
Lights out matches. So I admire the Hiroki Goto voters, but I kind of thought the winner here was screwed. Show him who I said, Bobby.
Yeah. I had the same pick.
Cinch for me.
Yeah, same.
I'll explain why. I thought Jon Moxley. Okay, so what are your goals when you win a title? You want to get over, you want to make the title, have memorable defenses. I don't know what Mox you could say his reign didn't have, besides he didn't do a turn during it. Like there are champs who have done that, and I always think that that's very cool if you can manage that while you're a champ. MJF utterly didn't have success with it, but I admired the trying. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but I thought Mox had the most stated, accomplished goal of the year. Now, I won't give him credit for anything outside of the run, but even during the run, think of what he did for Hangman Page. It's just Hangman had these matches with Punk, with Hangman, or sorry, with Kenny. And I don't feel like he was made in either of those near as much as he was made by Jon Moxley and ending the Death Riders. And everybody who came along for the ride got some rub from it. And we'll talk a little bit more about this, but I just thought it was what you would want out of a title reign. Broderick saying Mox's reign ruled almost as much as Goto's. I appreciate it. Irish Actor 21 saying tough to pull off. Yep. Sludge Williams saying Big Hashimoto Senjo champ was robbed. And Kyle Cushman agreeing with us that it was Mox.
Yeah.
1848 Mikey saying the Hiroki Goto the polls campaign fell short.
Just short, yeah. I had written some notes for myself. In my notes, I said if there was a what could have been category, Goto title reign would have been my easy number one choice for that. But it didn't. It wasn't, unfortunately. And then even when he was healthy again, they didn't go back to it. And maybe that's the right call. Maybe it was.
I do not understand how him versus Zack Sabre Jr. is on Wrestle Kingdom. Neither of them are on it either. It's not like they're occupied. How is that just not a match you're putting on Wrestle Kingdom?
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me, especially when the main event is title versus title. Like, it would have almost been better if they had just reserved a title for Zack Sabre Jr. and Goto to go out. Just do the global or whatever it's called these days, you know?
It is called the Global. You had it right. Let's get to our next category. Match of the year. What are they saying, Bobby?
So they're saying Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd, very beloved choice amongst our listenership, I think. John Moxley versus Hangman Page, All In, the culmination of what we had as the feud of the year and the title reign of the year. And Mystico MJF, extremely emotional entrance that Mystico had. MJF, really, really smart way to plan that match out. I feel maybe I'm giving too much credit to MJF and not enough to Mystico on that part, but the combination.
Blood in CMLL in years. Like there's reasons to think MJF brought a lot to the table there.
Yeah, and it was great, truly great. But what did you have to say? Yeah,
maybe this is going to be a little dull, but so let me talk about the first and third places first, and then we'll talk about the second place I agreed with, because this is a reversal of other years. So often on the year-end show, I have something that happened on January 4th at Wrestle Kingdom, and the chat has something that happened in AEW. And I also feel like I fly the Gabe Kidd flag in for Wrestling Brain very strongly. So this was interesting. But so Gabe Kidd versus Kenny Omega, you couldn't say anything bad about it. Not only is it expertly executed, they capture emotion, they feel like they hate each other. Gabe Kidd has this immense baby face energy as a New Japan face. The ace cries at the end. I mean, there's just it's dripping in kick-assery. There's nothing to dislike about it. Love it as people's pick for the match of the year.
Gabe coming out wearing the lion mark and pointing to it on his thigh was
huge moment.
It was one of the smartest things I've ever seen. I never would have in a million years thought to do that, or that it would catch the feelings that it did of the audience and me, but it worked immediately. Like, it was amazing. And it totally, I think a lot of the Tanahashi reaction was organic too. And me too. That was really cool.
I think Gabe will be in AEW for early March, and I hope that they let him be an anti-AEW character like he was in that period of time. He doesn't necessarily need to represent New Japan, but let him be your Stone Cold Steve Austin against the authority of AEW and go too far.
That would be fun.
Third place spot, Mystico versus MJF. I like this match a great deal. I thought the ambiance was maybe the best of the year, just the feel in the air for that match. Wouldn't have made my top 3, I don't think, but would have made my top 5. Had a lot of fun with this one, but I don't know. For CMLL, I'll still take Danielson, Zack Sabre Jr. Zack Sabre Jr. and Hechicero. That's the recent CMLL match that made my hair stand on the back of my hair. But I thought this was very good, and the visuals and the feel and the vibe, again, unmatched. But for me, in an era where I think people sort of see a run-in a match and go, ugh, or are bloodlined to hell where everything is glacial and ran and you're seeing the same people, to have the biggest show of the year headlined by a run-in heavy, drama-soaked roll call parade of baby faces versus Death Riders, and no one's booing and it feels great, is a remarkable feat. I loved watching this. Again, I think my tastes in wrestling are well known on this channel. And also it's clear from the survey, you guys all want the Friday night watch alongs back. I'll be bringing those back in 2026. So, but if you don't know my taste in wrestling, I don't think most of the stuff that I watch in my free time probably resembles John Moxley versus Hangman Page all the time. I think there's stuff that I do like that has some chicanery, but I think this is about as high end of a version of it as I've ever seen. And trust me, I've seen a million House of Torture matches, so I'm very equipped to speak on this. And to get me in the door on that and hook me like a fish and cheering, and it's coming, it's like, Swerve, he's gonna help him, and then the all these moments, and to feel it was very nice. And again, a culmination, like Bobby said, of my feud of the year, performed by my wrestler of the year. So I think it's just hard to get away from.
And I mean, match construction, with the knowing that they were going to have to do the run-ins and everything, they laid it out so amazingly well, given that that's the case. Like, it wasn't most of the time, if there's a bunch of run-ins in a match, the match has to go a certain way for that to be
Yeah,
possible, and they didn't do that at all. They kind of flipped
that's right.
the expectations around on that a lot for me. So it was still exciting even when the thing happened that you knew was going to happen, because they had somehow subverted my expectations or made me bite enough times by that point that I was like, you know what? The fourth wall is intact. I don't care
Yeah,
about thinking, using my brain for this. I'm gonna watch this with my heart, kind of thing.
yeah. That's definitely right. It's a heart over brain match. I think that's a great way of thinking about it. Beyond that, just as a flex, how many companies have baby faces that are active on your roster that can come out for pop, 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 pop like that? You look over at WWE, they got to go to the legends of yesteryear. They got to go down to OXT, grab the Undertaker, grab this sort of guy. Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay, these Darby Allen, these are the guys getting these massive reactions in the offense against the Death Riders. So I think that's also just stupendous. You think the Death Riders really only had Mox who were super over,
Yeah,
and people always say the opposite, right? How do you build a modern baby face? Well, they showed you how. By
yeah.
match of the year,
Thank you, John Moxley, as usual. I guess, right?
as usual. That picture of Vader's great there.
It is.
He loves Christmas.
He does. He was heavily featured in another Christmas setting recently for us.
That's absolutely right.
All right. So I had the same match, by the way. So
Awesome. And that's maybe even more surprising for you, who I think is maybe even a little more adverse to that sort of thing than me.
yeah, I just think you have to earn it, right? And they
Yeah,
earned it
that's a good. Yeah,
so much. Like, they put in so much work and so much effort to make it make sense and for me to give a shit about it, basically, when it happened. The reason that I don't care for it in a general sense is because it's usually more like what you're saying with the bloodline kind of thing, where it's like weekly, it happens every match, that kind of thing.
breakthrough wrestler of the year. And actually, before we get to these answers, I will say, if you want to see what Bobby was teasing there, some featured Vader around Christmas, you can
Yeah.
head on over to patreon.com/J0SHC this Tuesday. The Wrestling Brain Christmas special will be live behind there. I don't want to say too much about it, but every year it's a great time. Lots of fun. You know, the 100 questions challenge is on there as Zubes and Slack are united trying to guess 5 wrestlers across 100 yes or no questions. But it's about a 2.5 hour special. Patreon.com/J0SHC. Also gets you into the Discord. Next week, it'll also get you my World's End preview and the Christmas special. So a great time to join. Patreon.com/J0SHC if somebody wouldn't mind throwing it in the chat. Sorry, Bobby, the 3 breakthrough
No,
wrestlers of the year.
that's what we're here for, to do business.
Yeah, but I don't want to interrupt the great Bobby Burritos.
I'm reading your slides, brother. So this one also an interesting category of how do you interpret it, right? Like,
Yes, I love to give no clarity on it. People
yeah,
ask me, well, what do you mean breakthrough wrestler? It's like, what do you think I mean?
yeah, and very cool way to do it, because you do get kind of a spread, right? So I think in this case, Kevin Knight, probably more along the lines of how I interpret breakthrough wrestler of the year, as in who made an impact on TV that you hadn't seen do that before. Newer, younger, kind of. Marina Shafir, probably the other interpretation, which is who finally figured it out in a way that you think is, worthy of recognition.
And for me, who did I have? Pro
Ozawa.
Wrestling Noah's business changing wrestler, folks. This guy is selling arenas for Pro Wrestling Noah. He is filling houses, he is filling the halls. I
It's
love
impressive.
Ozawa. He is not evocative of what you think of Pro Wrestling Noah at all. He is not like a giant shooter, slow worker. He is in the mold of, I'm sure if you watch this program, you've heard me mention Yoshinari Agawa before. He's very much in that mold of a shit heel who, once you really force it out of him, can wrestle, but is going to do everything he can't. All the smirking. I just love watching this guy. He had a ton, but his match versus Kiyomiya this year, one of my absolute favorites, and him versus Inamura on the first is just one of my most anticipated matches going right now. I cannot wait. So yeah, easy one for me here. I don't think I was aware of Ozawa last year, or I guess I watched him on the first, so I must have been, but I haven't been aware of him for very long. And
Yeah.
now I go out of my way to see absolutely all of his matches, and think he's a star in the making.
And that's a very cool way to interpret Breakthrough Wrestler of the Year. It's like a guy who gets me to tune into a Fed I don't watch, who I didn't
Exactly
even
right.
I
I've
didn't know
wanted to
last
be
year.
interested in pro wrestling Noah and haven't been. Thank you, Ozawa.
Yeah, I kind of went the same way with it. Although this is a bit of a cheat answer, so feel free to slap me on the wrist if necessary. But I went with your tag team of the year, the Knockout Brothers, for the same reason.
That's sort of cheeky. I think tag teams absolutely count as one guy for these categories, and I think that absolutely rules. These guys looking like, yeah. Well, what do you like about the Knockout Bros? I already talked about them.
Yeah, just I mean, same thing as what you're saying for Ozawa. Maybe not in the sense of filling houses. I don't know that they're contributing to the business that much for New Japan, but
I don't think anyone is besides the Ace right now.
probably, yeah. But for my, the drawing power for me to get me to watch a show that maybe I wouldn't otherwise prioritize, I'd probably get to later or something. When I hear people in the Discord talking about, how the Knockout Brothers looked last night, I'm like, oh, I guess I got to watch that now, right?
Which is such a compliment to a wrestler, don't you think?
It is. It's one of the coolest things that you can have happen. Tony Khan talks about this a lot, how like he loves debuts and he loves surprises and stuff, and that's you can't do him too much, but that's sort of the currency for wrestling fans. It's like how you maintain goodwill with them is that you give them payoffs and stuff with those things. This is another one of those kinds of things, which is like just seeing somebody emerge and then knowing that you were there, sort of ground floor, watching the story unfold for them or watching their career unfold is such a rewarding thing if you're a real true
Isn't that
true
part
fan.
of why we're wrestling fans? Like, isn't that a
I hope
piece of the
so.
pie exactly what you're describing?
I really hope so, and I think that's one of the things not to get. And I'm not saying this to pile on to New York and stuff, but I think that's what they have largely taken away, right? Is
They
that
vacuum all that up, enter it
yeah,
into the
yeah, and so maybe people are out of practice with that. Maybe people haven't had experience with it. Maybe they're newer to wrestling and they've never seen it happen.
Well, not even to make this a grander discussion, but you think of discoverability is just so down, right? Everybody's fed
Yeah,
everything. You don't have to go out on the hunt. You remember being a wrestling fan back in the day. You'd hear like a whisper that some guy was cool, pretend
yeah,
you'd seen way more of them than you had. He's your favorite guy for 3 months.
yeah.
It was a cycle we'd all been through, but then some of them stick. Yoshihiro Takayama, Onita, whoever those people were for you all. But Ozawa was certainly on that list for me, man. I love him, and he changes the business.
I love to hear it. Now I got to watch some Noah, which kind of pisses me off. I'm like, I don't want to
We
have
watched
to
some
watch
at your
Noah.
place.
Yeah,
We watched some this summer at your place.
it's
Didn't
just
we
so.
watch Ozawa Kenta at your place?
We did, yeah, and it like I feel like obviously it's better to have more good stuff, but I also feel like Zubes often says too, where it's like, don't give me a reason to have to watch another thing,
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I have no life, so. All right. Kevin Knight, I think a great choice. Marina Shafir. I haven't seen much of Javon Evans, but I know some people I trust very much. Pacefall, others who really think he's got something good going on. I don't even know if I've ever seen a full match of his, to be honest. Doesn't he do like a top rope cutter? Is that what it is? He does something kind of stupendous.
Yeah, I've just seen clips. I've seen him do the old jump over top rope, tope.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
With so much ease that it's sickening. He's clearly very, very talented, but he's over in OXT with the Stars of Yesteryear, so I don't know.
Yeah, and there's no way to find out who's going to tune on to watch him wrestle Scotty Too Hottie and stuff, not me.
Yeah, and this on the CW.
Yuck. Channel I don't even have. All right, let's move on.
This
to
is
our next
a
category.
very
and soon we'll get to the Zubes. We'll get to our announced show. There's still so much to come on the Wrestling Brain year-end show. Thank you for joining us. And again, thank you, Bobby, so much for your production. And
of course. Thanks for having me on. This next one is very near and dear to both our hearts. It is WBCW related.
Oh. top 3 wrestlers in Wrestling Brain Championship Wrestling. Now, if you are watching this or listening to this and you do not know what WBCW is, let me give you the quick pitch. Every Monday, Bobby, Slack, and myself run a fantasy federation through Fire Pro Wrestling World. It is deep with lore. The matches kick ass. There's betrayals. There's run-ins. The factions are always fighting one another. It's a kick-ass time. Check us out Mondays, 7 in the West, 10 in the East. I asked the survey members, if you watch WBCW, who are your top 3 wrestlers? Bobby, let's see the first one. This is shocking. This was shocking to me. Bobby, the third place wrestler is the Euro Disco. Hit him with it.
Had to do it.
Ow! How much of just that ow in his entrance is why Antonio Gordon. Now, maybe it's respect for his competing in the ADCC trials of 2012, but I got to tell you, Bobby, this may be the most surprising answer on the whole survey for me. I did not see. Think of all the names he's in here over. We'll see 2 and 3, but who had Antonio Gordon making top 3? Chat, can I get a ow? Bobby, are you surprised to see Gordon here?
I am, yeah. You had mentioned to me, like, hey, there's some real groundswell interest picking up around this, and maybe it's theme related or something. But I also just think, like, the matches that we have seen him in have ruled. Like,
That's, yeah.
and they're
really is all it is.
super unique too, right? Different style. We have so many kinds of shooter in WBCW, but he's like yet another different kind of shooter. So very fun.
Let's see who's in the 2 spot. The Ace.
Yeah,
He went babyface to heel this year. Held a title as both. Shinji Kagetoru. I mean, what can you say, Bobby? Yeah, I can't imagine anybody putting him in the top spot. Makes sense to me.
yeah, he's my top guy. He's the ace. Basically, what he does dictates what the rest of the show is.
The center of the universe. Every time he hits the Tiger Bomb 2K20 is huge for me. I love that we have a guy who's just Masawa, but he's 6'8" on steroids. That
Yeah.
being such a top guy for us, but he also feels to have totally have eclipsed that what sort of been like a parody character.
Yeah, we used to call him Big Misawa, and I don't think anyone has said it actually in the calendar year of 2025. It probably never got said once.
Absolutely, he shed that. Can you chat? I want you to guess, if you're a WBCW viewer, who is in the top spot. Who do you think took the number 1 favorite wrestler in Wrestling Brain Championship Wrestling? Because it's not Antonio Gordon. It's not Shinji Kagetoru. Chat, it's not the good uncle.
Shocking, huh?
Bobby, show him who got first place.
Behind
The
this
former leader of the Bone Crushers. I could not believe Kurt Kidman, the number 1 favored wrestler in WBCW. That's pure match quality, Bobby. This is a guy people want to see him fight.
Absolutely. And lost his faction, didn't matter. Also interesting, we did a shirt this year that had our top we had to pick the top guys, and he was our last choice to make the shirt. Like he was down to the wire. We were voting between him and some other choices. So
And then he was like, oh, you guys put me on the shirt? Okay, that's sick. I'll just start way over delivering in matches, more than I ever have.
Yeah,
So great year at WBCW, and maybe we need to push Antonio Gordon, I guess, really the takeaway here. Shinji and Kidman make a lot of sense as the top 2, I suppose.
I think so, yeah. I had it penciled in as it would be Shinji 1, Kidman 2, Loudy 3. That was what I was thinking was going to be the way it would shake out, but this is interesting. Very interesting.
Ow.
That's maybe that'll be the next shirt we do. It's just an ow shirt.
Antonio Gordon's head and O and W's.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next slide, Bobby, because it's actually an advertisement for this Monday's WBCW Meltdown. It's an event show. He didn't get into our top 3. I'm sure he's pissed about that. It's Uncle Loudy's Loud Loudmas. I'm wishing a very loud Loudmas to you and yours at home. It's featuring Santa Claus, the Grinch, title matches, and me, Uncle Loudy. Join us this Monday, December 22nd, 7 in the West, 10 in the East. I can't wait for this, Bobby. I don't want to give away too much, except to say it's going to be off the wall, bonkers, and insane. You never have need to see WBCW before to enjoy Loud Loudness, believe you me.
It's going to be extremely weird and very, very fun. Lots of stuff planned for it that we've never done before. Almost all of it is first time stuff, I think. So that's if it's your first time watching WBCW, it's our first time doing any of the things that we're doing. So
yeah, that's right.
Maybe it's a good launching point for that.
Let's get to the next category. Spot of the year. What did the people say, Monsieur Burritos?
These were kind of surprising to me, to be honest. The second one, the Sabu Joey Janela Irish Whip, that one had been called for as the lock spot of the year in the Discord for almost the entire year. So I was certain that was going to win. Did not,
but just over 400 responses, Bobby. The Discord can only do so much.
For sure, yeah.
But they're a unified voting block, which really helps in the big. Like, there's like such a spread of answers, and then you can see the Discord is like, oh, there's 40 people all voting for this thing.
Right. Yeah, and it's where we spend most of our time, so maybe that's where our opinion gets skewed towards. But
no doubt,
I did not see either of the other two as possibilities. So. Obviously, the Let the Bodies Hit the Floor is was it Anarchy in the Arena?
Yeah, that's
officially listed. I always, depends on what size of room they're working, what they call it. But,
yeah, it's not a stadium.
Yeah. Kenny Omega calling for that. It was fun.
I liked it.
Not really a spot, but fun. And the Darby being set on fire when he was in the body bag, very dangerous.
Braver than anything I've ever done.
I don't even know if it was the craziest thing Darby did this year, but
he climbed Mount Everest.
Yeah, but I mean, in like on television for wrestling, I think he did a couple jumping off the tunnel. Against the Bucks or whatever was nuts too. So,
what did I say, Bobby? This will come to no surprise to anybody in the Discord.
Yeah, the Veda Scott call that will live in infamy.
Oh no!
We've all heard it a million times if you're in the Discord, especially.
I will just never forget this. I don't need to expand on the point. I will think about this forever. I will think about watching it in the Discord, Joey Janela's spring break, and all of us losing our mind, wondering if everything was gone to hell, if things were okay. And then the Sandman's music hits. It was a coagulating of feelings that you want pro wrestling to make you feel. Sabu and Joey Janela.
And it's almost made more insane in retrospect because everyone was like, did Sabu survive this?
Yeah, but he did. Look, it wouldn't have made spot of the year if he didn't. I'll tell you that.
Well, but the fact that he did, and then he tragically passed away so soon after, unrelated, of course, but just it really amplified how dangerous that was, because if he was that close to the end, like that's unbelievable that he did the spot, got up, finished everything, did whatever Sabu does, gets super glued up like he always does in the back. It's unreal.
Let's get to our next category. Wrestler with the best look. This one was suggested to us from the Discord. I believe it was Maddie Mack who came up with this one. Who did people think was the most styling and profiling wrestler?
Mercedes, she always puts so much effort into new gear, different looks, changing it up every single week. So very understandable. Bandito, just a sick as hell looking guy. I understand that 100%. And Swerve, obviously one of the coolest, handsomest guys in the world. Very easy to see why those three would be picked.
Yeah, what's to expand on? Everybody agrees. Those are three incredibly styling people.
And Josh said, Mercedes Man, the Beast Mortos. I love this pick.
I feel like people forgot when he put on aviators.
He doesn't need to do anything. He just has the cool mask, and he looks like the shape
not even a
of
mask.
him.
That's his head.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot. Yeah, it's his head, and then the shape of his body, and the fact that he just roars. It's the coolest.
I
Uh,
just can't think of a wrestler who's gotten more over with me because of the way he looks. Does it help that he does an awful waffle? Sure. That's Josh Good. There's no a guy that looks like that doing the awful waffle is lab created for me to go, "Duh!" But yeah, I just think he's the coolest looking wrestler on earth right now. For a
he's
while, this was Okada, where it was like, oh, you guys think there's somebody who isn't Okada, who's the coolest looking wrestler on the earth? Beast Mortal's going to have that locked down for a couple of years for me, I suspect. He
I think
ruled
so.
to see.
I went a different direction with it. I had Mark Briscoe because I think that his look is, he's not the coolest looking, but his look best exemplifies who he is.
I actually love that answer for like that's a different approach, but completely understand. And in that vein, I think he's the number one, or certainly up there.
Yeah, that's fun.
RL saying Hechicero, love that pick.
Mm-hmm.
Zeus pointing out, yeah, that's just who the beast is. There's no mask. There's no that's just how the guy exists. And I respect what he was saying. The Beast Mortals and Shades of the Discord had me howling. He can do it all. The Beast. He can do it.
He
all.
can. He's also maybe him and Claudio probably the two best Lucha Libre bases they got going in the world right now. So if you see some jump around House of Pain stuff that you don't like, put those guys in against them, against whoever that opponent is, and it's going to get grounded and look awesome.
Let's get to the next category. Best Wrestling Federation. All right, let's see how high they put NXT. Oh, didn't make the list.
I feel like the answers rarely change for this one. The order rarely changes.
WWE won Best Wrestling Federation last year.
Oh, that's right. Actually, yeah. That was their hottest year, and I think a lot of the people who filled in the survey last year were probably not regular listeners. Just
I also appreciate that honesty. Like last year wasn't an on year for AEW either.
No, for sure, yeah.
In a helicopter sense, like I'd obviously way rather watch AEW, but the Best Wrestling Federation last year going to WWE over AEW, I actually don't have a problem with, even though I wouldn't watch WWE.
Yeah, I get it if that's what you like. I don't understand why you like it, but oh well.
This year, Bobby, give them the top three.
So AEW number one, I think that's probably pretty consensus amongst everybody that watches this. New Japan number two. Here's the thing. I think a lot of people put this in the order in which they watch them or are likely to watch them. I don't think this is necessarily indicative of how they're rating the quality of their booking.
I would say
shows.
New Japan had a very bad year. Is how I would paint New Japan this year.
They did. There's some interesting stuff, right? Like when you're fantasy booking what they're going to do in the future with guys they're not really using yet. That's fun, but if you're looking at it just from what they actually did, it probably doesn't really deserve to be number two is kind of the sad truth of it.
They had a show that was great this year. I forget which it was. King of Pro Wrestling, maybe. Or there was one show I was like, oh my God. It had the really good Gabe Kidd and Suji match that they never managed to replicate, even though they had three of them. I forget. But that card sort of tricked me this year. What did I say was Best Wrestling Federation?
Early part of the year, yeah. No huge surprise here. Yeah, just...
I thought AEW was largely good this year, although as we'll talk about in a little bit here, I thought a rocky start. Pay-per-views continued to always deliver, and you think about something that I've watched every week for 4 years and I still look forward to Wednesdays is incredible.
Agreed.
What's up next? Oh, very contentious category, the Women's Wrestler of the Year. This one was the opposite of Ricochet for Most Improved, Bobby. A very narrow voting margin between the top two wrestlers. You can show them here. Let them know who.
Taking the top spot is Toni Storm. Number two, Mercedes Moné. You're saying very close margin between them. Number three, Stephanie Vaquer. I think that's actually cool because we skew much more towards the AEW indie Japan world. And I think it's cool to know that of the people who were probably voting WWE as their Federation of the Year, they still are WWE fans that have good taste, I guess.
Yeah, if they're like literally, if there's somebody you could get me to watch a match of saying, oh, this person's great in WWE, it'd be Vaquer or Walter. Like those are the two big ones for me, I feel like.
Yeah.
Every match I've seen of Stephanie Vaquer's, and I don't think I've seen one of her WWE matches, but I've enjoyed everything I've seen of her. Her AEW Mercedes match, I think, is lights out, and all this. So I'm happy to see her there, I guess. I don't really know what sort of year she had, though. Chat, did you know? Because Rhea Ripley was also a reasonably popular pick. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure in terms of like accomplishments, title wins, anything like that, but I I absolute confidence that she's probably putting on what would be mind-blowing matches for the average WWE fan. So great,
I would think so too.
good for her, and cool that the people who wrote in their answers recognized that, because that tells me a lot about what their tastes are.
Yeah, that is like borderline encouraging. I know what you mean. Before you show what I say, I just want to say I actually greatly struggled with this category. I think maybe I understood the split vote because between the top two there, Tony Storm and Mercedes Moné, who I think are the correct top two, I went back and forth. Both of these ladies occupied my top spot at different points when I had filled out my answers and working on this spreadsheet. I went back and forth, but you can reveal who I ultimately went with, Bobby. Timeless Tony. Now, Mercedes is more to my tastes, and I feel like I've done more Mercedes defending this year, frankly, than I've
Yeah.
had to for Tony to some degree, where some people were just like pretending to be tired of her, that she was egotistical, stuff that I just really. So I felt like I was more on offense for Mercedes this year, which made me put her in the first spot. I love what she's doing with going to these small indies, working Japan, but ultimately, I'm an AEW fan. And I openly am I cheer for them, like whatever you would like. I'm a fan of AEW. I actively cheer for that company, whatever you would
Mm-hmm.
say. And I think Timeless Tony Storm is a success story from this year that you can point to maybe more than anyone else in the company for where they went. We handed over some creative license and we had somebody break out of it. And now we can lend their overness to other people. And so I gave John Moxley a lot of points for that this year. And I think Tony Storm is about to enter her John Moxley era, which is to say, I think she's going to lose, and lend that rub to a bunch of people. And on top of that, that's a character that I think maybe the worst take I've ever had on the show. I was like, she's going to be doing this in a year? Like this, really? You think? And it's like, yeah. And it's going to kick ass. And she's going to be constantly finding Dick Van Dyke, Hollywood, star little twists, Turner classic movies. Like it's not always going to be the exact same thing. I think she found a real home with the character in ring, and she's just a reliable highlight of Dynamite. So I gave it to Tony Storm, but huge respect. I don't know if you have Mercedes or if you want to say anything about her.
So Mercedes was my wrestler of the year last year, and maybe surprisingly because of how much I'm always putting her over, I did also have Tony up slightly above her this year.
Interesting. Okay, that makes me feel better, to be honest.
I just thought that like you're gonna watch this stuff for the rest of your life. You might see 2 or 3 or 4 people get as over as Tony did. Over the last, let's say, 2 years, but this year was like the reaping year, I guess, from if last year was the sowing year. So she gets credit for it this year where she was able to go and use it, right? But yeah, the amount that she got over, it really cannot be ignored or downplayed at all, because
it's so hard to do.
It just doesn't happen. Like everybody thinks in the time scale of their whole life, or even what their older brother told them about in the 90s or something. So you know of like 20 people that did this or something, right? But how many of them did you actually see do it? And watch the whole weekly, see it unfold, watch the pay-per-views. You probably
this
haven't
is a little
seen
different now with the internet, but I remember people when I'm in high school being like, yeah, Ric Flair's the GOAT. It's like, oh yeah? Like the old guy I see on Raw? You're sure about that? It's like, why? Because some guy told you that? Like, well, what are we talking about, man?
Yeah, JR's adamant about it.
yeah, JR. Oh, in WCW, a thing that I think is the worst thing ever? Awesome. Yeah, great.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like most people haven't seen the week to week of any of these people become that over. Maybe if you're old enough to remember like Austin at the beginning of the Attitude Era, maybe that's one for you. There's other examples, but there's so few and far between that I really think that people and this is the time of year, this is the format of show where you're supposed to stop and think about that and like think about it. It's crazy. In a few years, you're gonna, not you necessarily, but anyone in the collective view of the audience, you're gonna look back and be like, man, remember how nuts it was seeing her get over every week, getting more over every week? It was crazy.
100%. Just to talk about Mercedes a little bit before we move on to the men's wrestler of the year, and then I think we're going to the Zubes shortly after that. So get on deck, big brother. Mercedes is up there for your current best bout machine. Put somebody in there with her, you're going to get something I like. Once again, I think the idea that she is greedy or selfish as a wrestler is just put up your hand and say you don't know a ball, because I
Yeah.
struggle to think of a champion who is more generous in the ring than Mercedes. Or who will, you can say, hey, can I go hit not even my finisher on you, and you go flying across the ring like it's Dragon Ball Z, and she go, no problem, sister, we got you out there. Yeah, with the, let me know when it's coming, I'll try to duck. And she just gets all the credit in the world to me for that. The insane schedule. She doesn't need the money. Why is she in Poland?
Yeah, and they're not paying her enough, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be almost impossible for them to, in my mind. So huge shout out to Mercedes Moné. I didn't see much of Stephanie Vaquer, but if she ever wants to sign to AEW, I'm still interested. Although from what I understand, that's very unlikely. But congrats to the timeless one, our wrestler of the year, or women's wrestler of the year.
Agreed.
Men's wrestler of the year. What did they say, Bobby Burritos?
Number one is Hangman Page. You know, hard to argue with. The guy is the face of the company, basically. The baby face of the company, let's say. Bandito, I think, has to be largely based on the match catalog that he had that probably surprised a lot of people too. And Jon Moxley for all of the things that we've described thus far on what could be called the Jon Moxley show.
And that, I mean, really, I'm fine with that. I will say, I believe this is the first year that a WWE wrestler didn't make the men's wrestler of the year category, which is surprising to me. No, not surprising, but notable maybe is more the word that I mean to say. Noteworthy. Totally understand Hangman Page in the top spot. Love the type of babyface they let him be and that he decided to be. The level of detail that he puts into his run and his matches, I genuinely think is unmatched in wrestling right now. And it's so appreciated by me. And I think other people who watch this product, and it's like watching a good TV show or a good movie. You feel rewarded for paying attention with Hangman Page. And that's just, he gets all the credit in the world for me there. Bandito, if you were looking for a pure wrestling catalog this year, I think he's probably way up there. The Takeshita match really is everything it's chalked up to be. Him and Hechicero was an absolute gas. So tons of great, well, not to mention the Brodito run. But for me, I went with the third pick. Again, maybe a little boring here. Jon Moxley. Here, and again, I've talked about this from lots of angles. Here's a different one. Kyle O'Reilly's ankle lock. We're working on Daniel Garcia. Of course, Hangman Page himself. Darby Allin. I am crediting Jon Moxley to getting those things over this year, all while I enjoyed watching him do it. I liked the promos, I liked the matches, and he had to do so much. It's not that he was, we trotted him out. All due respect to Kenny Omega, he worked 7 singles matches this year and managed to put on the match of the year. That's incredible. Only 7 chances and he puts on the match of the year. However, Jon Moxley was also getting trotted out to Dynamite every week, Collision lots of weeks, and still managed to feel special, to put on promos I like and matches. Big fucking Mox does it again. I love this guy. In case you can't tell.
Ditto. Basically just same pick for me, same reasoning, everything that we've been saying. all show, we've been putting him over, and he deserves it.
What's next here, Bobby? Congrats to Jon Moxley and Hangman Page. The worst feud of the year. Let's get negative. What did the people think was the worst feud of the year?
I thought these were probably all valid picks for sure. The Cody, Travis Scott, John Cena, whatever that was. I don't even know if you call that a feud, but it counts for this category for sure. But I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how drawn out it was.
Well, and to just, sorry, Bobby, but to pull the curtain back a little bit, you could almost say this is a little unfair because that was almost a catch-all. There was some of the Rock's answers in there,
Yeah,
but
sure.
some version of John Cena's heel turn not being paid off
Yeah.
correctly
Yeah.
vis-a-vis Travis Scott and Rock disappearing. So it kind of covered a lot of things for
Yeah.
first place, but I knew
Yeah.
what people meant.
Makes sense. I mean, yeah, if you called that worst program of the year, then all of that catches, or, you know, it's just a
Right.
language thing, but makes total sense. John Moxley versus Adam Copeland. This was poison. One of the just straight up made me not like my favorite show on television. And my favorite wrestler of all time too. Just not enjoying what he's doing. My wrestler of the year was in this, and I didn't want to watch it. And then the Hurt Syndicate versus Demand.
I wrote business. Whoops.
I mean, that's just what they were called for so long. This was insane. Like, I don't know how they kept this going for as many months as they did.
Well, you know the answer because the fucking Hurt Syndicate was like, okay, those are some guys we'll let pin us eventually if we work them for 4 months and we also beat them a bunch.
So the best part about it is they could have easily done like a bunch of different combinations to make different flavors with this one. It was always just a trios match. The same 3 guys versus the same 3 guys. Like, it was crazy.
And in a weird order, like the street fight was in the middle on TV, but was the best match anyway. Junk feud, agree.
Yeah, we were actually getting a beer during this in Toronto at All Out. So
smart move.
And then they kept doing it for 3 more months or whatever it was after. So
maybe it was because of that.
Yeah. Well, let's see what you had to say. Ah, there it is.
Gasp-worthy booking at points. Just you have Ricochet who feels so hot. You feel Bobby Lashley and Shelton are raring to go, and then they just go to an island and wrestle each other into infinity in matches no one can remember. What a cooling off of Ricochet. You just are getting nothing out of these guys. Think of how much star power is involved in this feud and what you're getting out of it. You're getting nothing.
It also really sucks for the Gates of Agony because they couldn't do anything to build on them finally. You know, obviously they were in Swerve's previous faction for a little bit. That was so short-lived because they needed Swerve to go babyface, so they didn't really get anything out of it. Here, being Ricochet's guys and getting the spotlight, to be enforcers and heaters for Ricochet, you can't just have the guys be heaters for the same match 96 times in a row.
And yet, here we are. I must say, though, Moxley versus Cope almost won mine because it just totally flew in the face of what the whole thing was even about. Jay White and Orange Cassidy, you can kind of squint and be like, okay, those could be ascendant baby faces, young guys who need to step up. But it's like, Copeland? What? The young baby face we need is Adam Copeland?
Yeah, a guy who didn't even work here when any of these sort of seeds were planted and everything, too.
And I can say the Travis Scott and Rock stuff is, I read the Raw results, just awful booking. Like, just, oh yeah, they're gone now. Sorry.
Well, we know what Dave LaGreca thought about that.
We got no Rock.
I had Jeff Jarrett versus MJF for whatever that's worth.
Oh, great choice. Yeah, almost nuked my interest in the show. Double Dudes almost ended in that era.
Yeah, I can see it, man. Yeah, you guys.
We were struggling.
Having to cover a Jeff Jarrett segment that's 15 minutes or more every week.
Sandwiched between a New York Minute and MJF Jarrett.
An early Ricochet AEW run. Horrible. That was last January.
Here. Let's get negative, Bobby. What's up next?
Worst Federation.
This one was a cinch for me. I couldn't believe. Anyway, let's see what they said. I was blown away here.
So WWE.
So first of all, can I go through this one?
Yes, please, yeah.
First of all, it's the funniest thing in the world that the NWA made this. The poor NWA. No one could tell you one thing that's happening there. Maybe that Bram is their champion, and if that, it's only because I was like, Bram is the champion of the NWA. No one knows what's going on there. Everyone's like, it sucks.
No.
It's the worst.
That's the thing is, again, I think this is the inverse of best federation being sort of which one do you watch the most, and then worst federation being which one are you least likely to watch.
Yes, that's right. In the middle spot, TNA, pathetic, of course. In the top spot, WWE. What did I say, Bobby?
Oh,
I'm
it's
being serious.
TNA.
I'm not going to say anything about TNA except for this. They had their biggest show since 2006's Genesis this year. They sold 7,000 tickets for Bubba Dudley to stare down the Hardy Boys as they did some storytelling through a table. And Bobby, after setting this record, after crowning Santana as their world champion, they stopped television.
Yeah,
They put
for
on
a
best of
considerable
episodes
time.
for a month.
Yeah.
I don't care who you have for worst federation. By my metrics of like who did the worst this year, you really can't do it worse than that. Your big show, you crown the OXT's been killing us all year. Santana finally gets over on them. Nothing. No. What? I'm still not over. I need to know what happened there.
Yeah.
What happened?
I'm assuming it might have something to do with the fact that they are moving to AMC or whatever. I think it's AMC that their TV is moving to.
Sure.
So maybe their previous deal was running out, or I don't know. But
they have done TV since.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
and Santana lose to Frankie Kazarian.
Yeah,
you're telling me Event did worse than this year?
That's what's so awesome about it too. Is that like any kind of externality that you can come up with, like maybe they weren't their current home, it's Access TV I think or something. I'm
not sure.
Maybe they told them
going to AMC. You're right.
Yeah, but I think they were on Access. But you could make up anything. Like they said, you can't have this block for a month because we need to air something else or whatever. But like in pro wrestling, you get to decide when you do anything you do. So like you could have just not done it that week, right? You could have waited till after.
You could have done anything except what you did. And for doing what you did, you were my worst federation. That's to say nothing about them getting cucked all year by WWE and God knows what else.
Yeah.
But you really couldn't have done it worse. Now Joe Henry doesn't even work there. They lost the guy that was drawing them some tickets.
Yeah, and Santana has to job to Frankie Kazarian of all people in 2025, by the way.
Now, Bobby, I only got to do this on Double Dudes once, so if you'll indulge me, I'd love to do my Bubba Dudley right before he retires impression, if you don't mind.
Oh, I'd love. Wait, let me switch over to the other so we can get a better view of you here.
Thank you.
There we go.
This is Bubba Dudley in the ring. Thank you.
It's almost like he doesn't know what he's about to say. He's not sure what's coming.
He's just standing there. Anyway, it's storytelling. I guess it's a psychology thing I didn't get. That might have been it.
Yeah, maybe Triple H can explain it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a guy who knows a psychology classic. Congrats, TNA and WWE worst feds of the year. Not that I'm praising WWE. Tons of stink going on over there, but at least they're driving the car. TNA's the road that the car's driving on.
Yeah, the drivers passed out months ago, and it's just continuing on.
Yeah.
Somehow, though, they seem to be pleasing somebody. There's some fan out there that's like, this is exactly what I wanted from TNA. Which
it's online, dude. It's not fake. There are people who are like, oh, you don't like TNA? It's like, huh?
Yeah. I don't know. And WWE doesn't really... I mean, they'll always have some of that for sure, but it seems like they lost a lot of that this year, and TNA gained people being like, this is a genuinely good to me, which I don't understand, but it's not for me.
The Tomatoist and Kev Sell suggesting that Jake Something and Mance Warner are just in TNA and need to be out. That's so true. I like both those guys. I'd be happy to see them both in AEW, especially I think people know big Mance Warner guy. All right. Let's get to the next category. Worst wrestler of the year. Who are the people on here? This is a very heavy survey favorite from the people here, Bobby. Tell them who were bottom three.
So number one, Yeet Uso. I'm gonna go out and admit something here. for the first time. I don't know which one of them is Yeet and which one of them is no Yeet. So
No one does.
so either Jay or Jimmy, I'm not sure which one. Maybe this is a combination of the two votes. I'm not sure.
No, that's why I put Yeet. No one knows which. There's Yeet and there's no Yeet.
Yeah. So it's
And one of them is married to Naomi.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if Naomi's the one that gets the main event run or not. I don't know. I don't know that.
I'm not, and there's no way to know. So at least you don't have to feel bad about it because there's no way to know. Number 2, Logan Paul. Not really a huge surprise the guy catches a lot of heat. And Anna Jay, who probably... This has to be like the Discord's most hated wrestler, but it is kind of a weird pick because...
So Anna Jay's catching shrapnel.
she is featured a lot more than she should be, but not nearly enough for me to care really to this degree. Like it doesn't actually derail much for me, but I get it. I mean, you know, I think it's probably more frustration with Tony than it is Tony Khan. I mean, than it is anything to do directly with Anna Jay.
I'm not Touch Mantel. I was able to follow Tony. Yeah, it's a Tony logic there.
Which Tony? Tony Storm?
You think Tony Khan wrote that? Nope.
No.
Who did I say here, Bobby? You all see it coming at 100 miles.
Yeah, the only logical choice to me. I had the same, and there was nobody that was going to really compete in a meaningful way.
Remember how he is the first guy in AEW to kick out of the Shatter Machine? And that he immediately gets up, hits the worst spear you've ever seen. That's my least favorite sequence of wrestling I saw this year.
And that was the opening match of a pay-per-view that we had all flown to Toronto to see.
Yeah.
It's just so deflating. We're like, okay, well, the rest of the show can't really do anything for me.
He doesn't redeem himself in the promos that I hate. I don't find redemption when the crowd sings this dumb song that I also don't like. Sometimes him and Christian, because I like Christian, can be okay, but
I did forget until just mentally reliving being there at All Out. He did do one thing for you, and I think you do have to give him some credit for this. He did bring you Beth.
You know what? Bobby is right. I might need to change my vote. Beth returned.
Yeah, it was Beth.
Beth. She was there in Toronto, Beth. Because Cope was there. So maybe, I just sort of look a fool now.
Oh. Kid. Yeah, I called you kid. Because you were growing pubes while I started.
Remember when he said this?
You're all pubes.
You can't forget when he did all the John Cena's moves.
Yeah, that was really good, especially because the show was being counter-programmed, and that was why we had to change everything for Wrestling Brain Live. Probably countless people that had tickets to All Out didn't go to the show because they couldn't go at 3 p.m. All because they were counter-programmed for a John Cena match. And then, of course, the only thing that you can do is simply show unlimited respect for the guy on your show after that, right? Like that's what you do.
Yeah, he beat you a bunch of years ago. All right. Actually, I guess he beat him too. So all's fair. Let's get to the next category.
That's actually it for the survey categories.
Is it time to bring on my big brother, the Zubes?
It is time, yes. The next slide is very graph heavy, which means it's Zubes time.
It is Zubes time. Thank you for coming in, seeing all the best worst, but it is time to bring you behind the curtain and show you the year that we had on Twitch. Zubes, you can come on board. I'm going to post about this. I'm going to take a quick break from talking as we bring on the Zubes here, folks. Stay tuned. We're about to get to behind the scenes as I post about it. And if you don't mind heading over to Blue Sky, share my post that we're about to go behind the scenes and show you our stats.
Seems like a good time to remind everyone that WBCW Meltdown will be doing Uncle Loudy's Loud Miss. So let's hear from him right now.
Let's get loud. Let's get loud. Turn the music up. Let's do it. Come on, people. Let's
always a pleasure to hear from the good uncle, but the pleasure greater yet when we get to hear from the man with the plan and the 84-inch wingspan. He's more handsome than ever in his new form. I feel like this is Zubes 3.0. Join me on the year-end show. I'd give you a hug if I could. Hi, Zubes. Any categories you want to comment on? Anything you disagreed with vehemently? Anything of that sort? Oh, they can't hear Zubes. Hang on one sec here, Zubes. They're saying the brand is muted. And let me tell you, the people don't like that. They want to hear from the
And
brand
you can hear me though, right? You can hear me?
perfectly.
I got you. You should be on now. Sorry about that.
Good. No problem. No problem. Look at that producer producing.
Super producer Bobby Burritos.
Anyway,
But you were basically saying
yeah,
no categories, pretty chalk. Mox is good, bad stuff bad.
yeah, I think it's pretty much I mean our audience especially, but I think the Sports Illustrated voting that came out today and all that sort of stuff. I think it's excuse me, you're either like a Mox or a Hangman. It's either a Mox or a
Yeah.
Hangman year to you, or it's a Mercedes or Tony, right? It's like
Some outside
you're
Mystico people, but yep.
yeah, but you're sort of picking from basically one side of the biggest feud of on the company, right? You're picking on the one side of Mox Hangman, which was basically what the entire front half of the year was built around, and then the second half of the year has been on the fault on the fallout of that. And then on the women's side, it's Tony and Mercedes and the two parallel paths they're doing and where they collide and where they separate, and sort of that idea of ultimate character person, ultimate technician.
Would you have
It's
been with
such a
us on
banner.
Tony?
Probably. I feel like a lot of it's hard for me to remember how much of Tony was 2024. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. I get that too.
I probably lean Mercedes only because she was like in every corner of the globe. I lost count. Like I love the Tony stuff. I think I'm a little lower on it than probably you in the chat. I sort of like I'm a little bit at a point where I'm like, okay, I don't actually think it's as clever as we sort of fall all over ourselves, but like it's a lot of like sex puns that I don't think is like the most, you know what I mean? Like she's on a really thin line of like that classic like someone coming in and being like, "What?" I think she's a excellent character and has elevated herself. I think Mercedes' focus this year of just being like what I really lost count with when I sat down and was like, which one of them do I think is wrestler of the year on that side? Loved a lot of Mercedes work. I lost count of how many wrestlers I had never heard of that Mercedes had the best match of the night with, right? Where it's like, I've never heard of this person.
Yeah.
I don't know what company they work for. They are showing up on a pay per view, and Mercedes is dragging 6 stars out of them. And you're just sort of like, oh, cool. Stephanie Vaquer, who's a great wrestler, like famously goes to WWE because she had too good of an AEW match against Mercedes. It's like that's the power that she pulled out
That's a
this
vote
year.
of confidence.
I think that just edged it a little bit. And speaking to Mox, I mean, I've had my come to Jesus with Mox this year. Such a banner year for Mox that he can also have a worst feud of the year candidate and be wrestler of the year.
He did it just to have the whole ballot. Yeah, what else is there on this thing? Worse? Okay, yeah, you got it. Give me go.
There's you dominated the year when you had the most hated and most loved storyline as the A side on both of them. That's incredible. And only Big Mox. And I mean, yeah, I don't think there was much else that I'm super duper. I mean, what did you guys have for breakthrough? Was you had Azawa? I
And then
might have been
Kevin
tempted to
Knight
put
on the AEW
I might have been
side.
tempted to put Kyle Fletcher there. That's another one where I don't know how much of that was 2024,
He
but
won last year for the chat.
yeah,
At,
this is the year. I think maybe my difference this year and last is Kenny and Will aren't around in the way that they were the year before. Whereas like
and you feel that.
he has to be the guy, and
Yep,
he is.
yep.
Otherwise, I don't have much else to sort of quibble with. I think a great year, a great list, and Surprise. My only other thing is surprise no CMLL love in best fed as the number 2. You talked
Yeah,
about and New Japan probably didn't deserve number 2. They do deserve credit, right, for the 2 shows in January.
for
They
sure.
get Tokyo Dome and
But
then
that is
very next
technically
night.
next year.
Yes, correct. No, yeah, I know, but like this year, the January 4th and 5th this year, that
Oh, yeah, sorry,
not
Dynasty.
just Wrestle Kingdom, but remember this year we had that incredible AEW New Japan card that I think for a lot of our audience set the tone for the year, right? It's really hard to remember that a year ago this time, I was like worried. I was like, geez, WWE had a really hot section of
Yep.
this year, and AEW was really cold, and Punk came back and you look at it how it's flipped now. I feel like there was a lot of learnings from that early January 4th and 5th,
I think
that second Tokyo Dome. Brody King looked like a star that night. It was very clear that you could bring Gabe Kidd over and work with these guys. I think they had a lot from that. So
Ricochet had a nice showing.
Ricochet, right? And then in the middle of the year, it became a lot more CMLL. And I think probably the best Dynamite of the year was in Arena Mexico, right? So
We'll talk about that
um
soon, actually.
yeah, let's talk about that because
Yeah, let's get to
I'm
the next
hogging a
slide
lot
here,
of time
Bobby.
on
And Zubes,
things
again,
you've already
thank you for
talked about.
joining me. I'm already in such a great mood, and seeing you just elevates it all the further. Okay, so this is people's general interest in wrestling, Zubes. It's on a scale of 1 to 10. This year's average, 8.01, up from last year's
That's good.
7.89. How does that sound to you?
I mean, obviously, if you were filling out a wrestling survey and watching a wrestling stream, I think below 7 is you're probably in fear of dropping off the map.
Yeah.
And anything below 5, you wouldn't answer, right?
Yeah,
Sort of the
exactly
old
right.
when you're in filling out an employee satisfaction survey and your boss is like, just so you know, anything below 6, we lose our jobs. Um, yeah, I think it makes sense to be more interested this year than last.
Me too.
I think I am probably the opposite.
Ooh.
There was that write up that was shared in the chat the other day, just sort of about like the state of it's suffering a little bit from me of it's a little bit of sameness of sort of style and I would love AEW to continue to lean into what they can do that nobody else can do, and whether that's a sports forward presentation, the learnings from the C2, which is have your best guys fight your other best guys and have one of your best guys surprisingly lose, or leaning into like the hardcore things that the
Mhm.
deathmatch stuff that you won't see the other program do. I think that stuff stands out way more than we had Dynamite, and there was three pretty good matches on it. It's the old if everything is 5 stars, nothing is 5 stars sort of problem. And I know that there are people whose response to that is like, hey, if your biggest problem is your having too many matches, that's a fine problem. It's like yes and no. It's sort of that idea. It's the same argument I think we get into with people think the pay-per-views aren't too long because they're
Oh,
like,
those
oh, if I
psychos.
was at a if I had a meal and there was too much good food, I wouldn't say that. It's like, no,
You
you'd
would.
say, I wish hadn't had that appetizer that was way
Yeah.
too big because now I can't enjoy the incredible dessert, right? You want to be able to enjoy the main meal. So I think a little bit more of um AEW should continue to sort of be different would be my not that helpful but honest advice there.
Let's get to the next slide here, Bobby. Oh, yeah, there you go. All right, this is what federations people will be spending the most time watching. No big surprises here. Zubes, AW in the top spot, followed by New Japan. Assorted other promotions up way big time this year. But I think that's more to say a fall for GCW, a big fall for WWE, a
Sure.
big fall for TNA. Or no, sorry. TNA not in last place for the first time ever. I should say.
Yeah.
And that's a huge failure by OXT's part. I mean, really, TNA can celebrate this. This is the first time in the history of the Wrestling Brand year-end
Yeah.
surveys, the 5th annual right now, that TNA is not in dead last, that people would rather watch it than OXT. So congratulations to TNA, I guess, sort of a big win for them.
Um, these are obviously the options they have to pick from. They have the 7 to pick from.
That's right.
I'd be interested to see if you split assorted other, if you split out, say, Noah and CMLL
CMLL.
and Stardom. I don't know what else people are watching. I would very curious. It feels like CMLL based on our chat, based on Discord. CMLL is the one where every time they have a show, somebody puts the card in the chat.
Yeah, people are watching in the Discord CMLL on Friday nights. Not a huge amount, but there's people watching for sure.
Yeah, compared to what we like compared to I'll say like even GCW. Like I think I hear more about what's happening. I could tell you more about what's happening in CMLL than I could GCW.
Yeah, GCW had a bad year for my money.
It's
Although I
tough.
enjoyed my time at their show.
Indies are in a weird space, man.
You're right.
Tough times.
Let's get to the next slide here. Okay. Before we reveal what's on screen, Zubes, this is our announcement.
Oh yeah,
Zubes,
new show.
we have a new show coming to twitch.tv/wrestlingbrain. You may reveal the logo, Bobby. This is the Hall of Brain. The Zubes, Slack, and I, once a month, will be going live on twitch.tv/wrestlingbrain to begin our own AEW roster-based Hall of Fame. We will come once a month with slideshows made, little presentations to make our case for who should go in that night. The chat will ultimately decide what 2 people go in on the evening. But on the road there in the early new year on patreon.com/J0SHC, there will be a poll that we run to determine the founding 4. So we'll ask, who are the people that you think should automatically be in this Hall of Fame? The 4 names that appear the most times will go in automatically. And once a month, Zube, Slack, and I will battle it out over passionate argument and cross-examination to determine what AEW wrestlers will enter the Hall of Brain. How does this sound to you, Zubes?
It's brilliant. It's important legacy, I think, to start building. Similar to the Stu Hart Award, which I will tell you now is not going to be in this presentation. That'll be a Patreon episode as well. I know that's something people really look forward to. Did a lot of research on that today. Looking forward to having that
pledge this year.
Yeah, we wanted to get a little deeper. It was maybe the toughest year we've ever had doing it. I love this idea. I think AEW is in its call it adolescence here, where it's time to start building the next generation, building the future, looking forward to what does the back half of the decade look like. I think that is, when I overall look at the state of wrestling right now, the indies dropping off and the how up and down WWE and AEW seem to go and where the difference needs to be made. I'm really interested to see what the back. It's very much middle of the decade. It makes perfect sense. It's like now I feel like there has to be a move towards 2030 as you're thinking and as you're planning. And I think it's a great time to start building out acknowledgments of who got us here over the last 6 years.
Beautifully said, as always, big brother. Chat, what do you think of this idea? And Bobby, how does this sound to you? Hall of Brain.
Sounds incredible to me because the one thing that wrestling is lacking is a Hall of Fame that is not tied to a particular promotion, right?
Yeah, like by the company that owns it.
Yeah, and I know that there are things like the Cauliflower Alley Club or whatever.
Alley.
Yeah, and they do exist to some degree, not super widely known or recognized. There isn't like an independent pro wrestling Hall of Fame that exists in some small town in Ohio or New York or whatever, like other pro sports have. So there's a hole there. There's something that needs to be filled. I think that the reach of the PWI, those different magazines, sheets that existed before, some of them still exist, but not as well read or as widely discussed as they once were. So I think that the representation of the viewpoint of you 3 guys, you 2 plus Slack, is something that's just missing from that space. However limited that space exists right now, it just doesn't have people who are looking at it the way that you guys are.
Really appreciate that. And of course, I'm not saying we're any sort of geniuses or anything, but Zubes and I have literally talked about 90% of AEW Dynamite episodes that have ever happened with one another.
Yeah.
We know the history of Dynamite. We've covered it, written it down, talked about it, and we'll feel comfortable entering people into the Hall of Brain, and that will kick off in late January. Irish Mac 21 saying it correctly. Going to be some interesting battles in the chat. We can only bring our slideshows and make our cases and speak passionately, present data, but ultimately this is going to be the most chat heavy program that we have on the channel. You will ultimately be voting not only for the original 4 going in, but also at the end of each Hall of Brain. So please look forward to that. Let's get to the next slide. Zubes, I take the microphone, I hand it to you. Where's my water? Zubes time.
Well, let's start with the overview. The beginning of this month, or maybe the end of the month previous, we had some excellent stuff come in from our fans and audience who were showing them sort of the stuff that they had been sent through the Twitch recap. So we're going to go through some of that right now. A quick pat on the back: 126 total streams, and I think this was 6 streams ago. This was 3 weeks ago, so it streamed 6 or 7 times since then. Should be about 130, which is like 2.5 streams a week, which is about right. I think a pat on the back for consistency. Not that this is all about how great we did, but 52 weeks a year, 2 streams a week is 104. So it gives you an idea of we at least an extra 2 streams a month, if not more. That consistency is something we're really, really, really proud of. Total of 7,000 hours watched from people, 33,000 chats sent this year. Pretty incredible stuff. We are as strong as our chat section. We have my favorite people on the internet are the people that are chatting on Wrestling Brains assorted shows. As the rest of the stuff will show you, it is not. We call ourselves the A Show on Wednesday, but there is a huge amount of people that do a lot of stuff on the total accompaniment of all the shows. And before I have Bobby press spacebar, Josh, I threw a question at you when these numbers first dropped and didn't let anybody else look at them. If you had to guess, last year we sort of introduced betting into WBCW, and we have it in some of the games now. If you had to guess how many brain bucks were wagered this year across the assorted shows, what would you say the number is?
So first of all, Zubes, I'd like to say we're allowed to brag a little bit tonight. We don't do it on the show.
Sure.
We can get a little sentimental. This is fun stuff. I think people don't view us as insane narcissists, and they know creators that are. So I think we're allowed to indulge a little bit tonight. And 2, Zubes, I remember my guess was embarrassing as to how many brain bucks were bet on the channel. I believe I guessed 4 million. Is that right?
Right. Yes. And before I reveal, I do want to say you're right. And something I want to point out we're super, super proud of is our top 2. We only do 2 categories, right? We do talk shows and podcasts, and we do Fire Pro Wrestling, and we are top 10% in both of them. No surprise to be a top 10% Fire Pro. I think top 10 is the best they can give you. I am pretty sure we're the best Fire Pro channel in the world. I mean, best, we're the best one in the world. I think we're either the most popular or the second most popular. Nobody's as consistent at it and has the audience that we have. I know that much. I've done the research. And then top 10 podcasts and talk shows. That's awesome. There's thousands of those. So that is wicked for us to be. I mean, there's 90% of these shows. I mean, everybody knows podcasts and shows how hard this is. Pretty incredible. Okay, so we have, your guess of 4 million. RL himself bet 3 million. T Dills 100 million. Bobby, let him know how much brain bucks were wagered. 28.6 million brain bucks.
Come on.
Were spent this year.
How do you not smile when you see that? That's crazy, folks. You rule.
That's great. That's crazy.
And that's just
crazy.
one segment on Double Dudes each week and Meltdown each week. The best.
Yes. And again, you've had 3 meltdowns since these came out, so it's probably closer to 30.
Yeah, right. And we did have a monster betting match last week, I think.
That's what, 500,000 a week, right? You're doing 50 shows.
Yeah, wow. Whoa. What? Doesn't even make sense to me, Zubes.
Awesome. And listen, the only way to earn the bucks is to win your bets and watch the shows.
watch
You
the
win
shows.
you get brain bucks from tuning in and contributing. So thank you for the 28.6 million points
You
that
all
were
rule.
spent
So fun to see.
in this channel. Okay, listen, when we do these breakdowns, there's one thing that I think is the most important, and I'm not going to put it at the end. I'm putting it right here because I think this is the who is the ace of the company is right here. So, Bobby, show the next slide. Give us the first two. Listen, I'm not going to try to compete with
We can.
WBCW. Bobby, you give me one click. Yeah. So listen, WBCW is the top of moats. I'm never going to compete with it ever again. I understand that. 2.9. If you've been at the channel, it gets so many more uses than anything else we do. It's crazy. And honest to God, if you look at your emotes bar, I have created a second non-animated WBCW emote in hopes of splitting the vote next year because nobody else has a chance. Dot 2 emotes 2.9 WBCW, of course. Um, you talk a little bit. This is you two. This is you and Bobby and Slack. I'd love to hear you two sort of talk about how you feel about, obviously it's not that it's easy, but hey, we do an AEW review show. That's pretty simple. People come to that, and it's easy to get people in who are watching Dynamite and are AEW fans. That's pretty simple. How does it feel to you guys to not only have the voting this year for top WBCW wrestlers, but to see for the second year in a row completely dominate the top emote leaderboard?
Well, first, I'd like to say it is Thursday night. 2.9s, let them fly. Know where you'd rather be than right here on the Wrestling Brain year-end show. And if there was ever an emote that didn't need to kick out, it was the 2.9 way out ahead, as you said, Zubes. And in terms of how it feels, WBCW is just so punk rock. Like the people who like it love it. It reflects our beliefs of wrestling, and that there is anyone who watches it, much less a community that follows it and seems to resonate with it like Bobby and I do, and Slack, of course, is remarkable. And then I'll pass it to Bobby, but I'll just say, and Zubes, you probably know this world better than me, because I don't really know like manager. I think it's called franchise mode on video games, where you don't actually like play the game, you just schedule the
Mhm.
stuff and manage the stuff. I've never really been big on that, but I understand that people get really passionate about their home version of those. And I think we've managed to capture that and put it on screen. And we have a central one of those that we all get to exist in the playground of. And that's just so rewarding for like the child imagination part of us that isn't jaded and beaten to hell yet. So yeah, it's very rewarding and very cool. You got any words for him, Bobby?
Just gratitude. It's really fun, you know, building up a kind of a backlog of lore that we have through WBCW, and a lot of it is from the chat, right? A lot of stuff has just come from people just spouting off, saying something off the cuff, and then it just becomes part of the story of, the greater arc that we're telling in WBCW. So I love when people do that. I love that it feels like one long collaboration with everybody that's there every week, and huge contributions too from RL and Bob that make characters for us, and then they're there in the chat every week. They're cheering on their own guys. They're contributing to the culture of it with everybody else. It's just
Big
it's
thank
super
you to those
unique.
guys.
Yeah,
Big thank you.
it's fun. It was the most fun thing that I had going in my life for a couple of horrible months. So just really grateful.
And it's just very fun to do a show with Bobby and Slack too. All right, Zubes, let's see what else happened on the emotes front.
You got to show them 3 through 5 because vindication. It's finally happened after 5 full years on the channel. The boys are finally on top. we've finally had a good enough year where we said enough smart stuff that we did it. Josh, all it took was for you to be on literally 125 streams.
Well, you're forgetting Zubes, another really important factor here. It really involved Matt leaving the channel. that really helped our odds. Matt was only present on the channel for 4 or 5 months this year. That was a huge boost to our chances. Matt, dominant. I think this is actually the first year in 3 years that I've even ranked in the top 5. So thrilled to be third here. Now, did I beg for it? Yeah. Did I make the most? I might sort of, you could say, like an Eddie Guerrero win here. You could say.
Sure. Yeah. People saying Battle House had a lot to do with the Josh heads this year.
Oh yeah. I mean, I was putting on some entertainment there on Friday nights.
Wednesday getting in there, which makes me feel good.
I love that.
Tanahashi knocked off, and Keeper Kick usually are in there. Usually Keep is a top 5. So interesting switch up this year. Feels good. It feels like we were particularly we had to stop. Remember we Jug. We just like Jug is not getting over. That was our most New York thing we ever did. I was like, no, we're not.
yeah. This thing's getting over organically. No, it isn't. Brand change. It's just a water bottle now. I'll say this, Zubes. Keeper Kick not being in the top 5 makes the top 5 feel very strong to me. It makes because you think Keeper Kick, a bunch of those are sent no matter what, a couple times once a week. So huge.
I did want to show the top 15, Bobby. You can show the next slide because I wanted to shout out the producers do show up in the top 15. Very different, much more rotating cast. The brain itself, the standard brain. You see Wednesday here is now 7th. It was 5th. 2 different times. That previous slide is from the Wrapped. This is from the raw data of the year. What happened is, I assume there were some criticals in the last 2 weeks, I guess, because critical is top 5. Critical went from 7th to 5th. So the brain keep there in the top 10. The colorful brain in the top 10. Tanahashi just under 1,000 uses. Kick right there. And then it's Bobby Burritos, Maddie, C's, and Ryan wrapping out the top 15.
What a team that is. I love our group.
Pretty sweet, huh? Pretty sweet. Everybody eats. Everybody on the channel made top 15, and Ryan may be 15th here, but a pretty solid number for he wasn't on the show the whole year.
That's what I was gonna say. Per minute, Ryan did great.
Yeah. Maybe not yesterday, but overall.
Well, I'm the producer now.
Yeah. Josh, get the poll up as you could.
Yeah, could you stop talking for a second? Get the poll up.
Alrighty, let's move forward into some more data. There's lots of good stuff in here. Sound alerts. Everybody loves the sound alerts. I think the sound alerts are one of the things that set us off. It makes this show feel like a real circus sometimes. Look at the top right-hand corner. That's crazy. 500 sound alerts? 100 sound alerts a week?
Chad, I feel like as this slide comes up, we have to hear some sound alerts.
2 hours and 21 minutes worth of sound alerts were played on our channel this year.
What?
That's how much of Zubes' life was taken away from him.
That's how much. Think about that. 2 full hours I did not go to bed.
The vacuum into Zubes' soul ran for 2.5 hours this year.
Marlon the Man with the most plays. I'm going to say at least half of those are full gears, almost certainly. We had to. Most popular sound alert, Dutch. And this is where you see the they said what effect. Finding the Dutch Mantel clips. You will see in the minute we're going to have the top 10 sound alerts of the year. Dutch Mantel, that's where he becomes the leader of the pack. Maybe the hidden ace of the channel. How does it get to 2 hours? Ash can answer.
Let's hit 2.5 tonight. 9 minutes of sound alerts. Please.
Play this twice. That's how you get 2 hours and 20 minutes.
That's right. Lots of Marina Shapiro year-end stuff. Breakthrough, improve, sound alert. God, this song.
Zubes, I do think it's maybe not talked about as much, but the most shocking thing to me here is seeing that under the alerts played total, the percentage that the channel ranks.
11. Top 11%. Yeah.
All of
Pretty
you.
good.
That's
It's pretty good. Like,
You
all of that
know
stuff.
Me.
You
You don't
also
know
remember
me.
is like usually
You
like the big
don't
channels
know
are on here 5 days a week, streaming for 8 hours a day.
You know nothing about me.
Which I love.
Josh likes this song too much. That's my official stance on the
I love this
song.
song.
Josh likes it too much. Is my official stance. But yeah, all the like 10%, all the top stuff. Just realize that like people that do this, people do it for a living. They do it 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. We're on here 2.5 times a week for a couple hours at a time. Our total uptime on the year is nowhere near the top.
Well, and it's
That's
just
what's so
us.
crazy about all this stuff. Yes.
There's no
That too.
corporate push. There's no big
Well, no one knows the
stars.
game like you do,
no
Wonder, and that's
nothing.
why I made
It's
your
us.
advice.
Got a game that needs to be played.
Yes, exactly.
All right, let's go to the next slide as these play.
Hang on,
We'll
let's
take a
follow
look
along.
at the top 10 sound alerts of the year.
Tough to pull off, but
Again, the
it's
number
done
is just a
right.
little
My
bit
personal
off.
favorites.
Dutch saying stinker. I don't like it
You know what they
already.
heal. Come in and get the heat
So
from the
Dutch,
crowd.
top
Then your baby
2.
face comes and gets the
Dutch Mantel. We got no rock.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like it already. So Dutch, the top 2. We got no rock. A mid-year ad, really huge. Everyone
It's a
loves
good thing that your
DLG.
husband is never that
Take me to your dealer.
Nick would have never
This might be the
disowned
best
his
one.
father anyway because he realizes that his father was as good of a wrestler as I was. And not only that, his father, Buddy Wayne, and Nick knows this as well, was the man. So do me a favor, and you know what, Shane, it's because, you know, we played your cards right. But that's a conversation for another day, so what I'd like to have right now is for you to never get the hell out of my ring. Never go punch your card, because I think your shift is never about to start at Denny's. Never get the hell out of my ring. Right, never.
This is where we see the they said what effect, right? Your top 3, all they said what clips. Take me to your dealer, of course. I think that was Ryan's first week. That was his
work,
first
Ryan.
sound. That was his first sound alert, so he gets one in the top 5. WBCW always represented. It's 5th. Ricochet, me who hold all the cards, is a top 6.
Wow.
At 7, full 7. Put a little effort into it. Number 8 with Bischoff. I Love You, Joshua,
I love you.
which
too.
was number 9 on the year, but is all time the most played sound alert.
Whoa.
And the 100% real Christian promo rounds out the top 10. A great year
That's
for
a
sound
great
alert.
top 10. We
It
gotta
is a
get some
great
fresh
top 10.
blood in there in 2026, though.
I think so. I think we'll cycle out. We'll cycle out whatever was low on the year end list. I'll cycle it out before we do another double dudes.
Makes sense to me.
No Dutch is confused is shocking to me. I mean, the Dutch has the top 2 spots. Dutch is confused sort of is a late bloomer in terms of interest. It got played a lot the last 3 or 4 weeks, but it didn't get played as much as there's people like the shorter ones, right? Stinker. The thing about Stinker, it wasn't that good, is you can play it really quickly, right?
Can somebody please, this twisted guy, Pakafall, in the chat is suggesting some very nasty things. Let's just ignore him, chat. Just
You know what's right on
moving
the
on.
edge? Right on the edge, and is also very new is okay, great.
Oh, that's
A late run, but it's right there on the outside.
that one's up there
That's
for me.
that's the sound alerts. That's the behind the curtain of the raw numbers. I think what's next is top chatters and viewers, I think.
Oh, fun.
Yes. So listen, we didn't make this list. This is auto-generated. Obviously all of these people deserve to be here. Josh and Bobby being on it. And you're obviously very active during your own shows and always have it on. Maddie Mac has been here. He has actually the longest sub, I believe, is Maddie Mac or E Prime.
This is me applauding all these people.
Yeah, hi, it's me RL with the watch
Thank
time
you.
through the roof. Florida Panthers Marlin has the most sound alerts played. Pacefall always here, always helping out, has been around forever. McVanderhuge, I do want to give a special recognition. McVanderhuge and Ashton Kutcher, unbelievable amounts of gifted subs this year. Thank you so much. Very generous years from you guys. What not on the list, but want to shout out Kev Sell as well. Always present, always helping, chipping in with historian work and remembering things, and being somebody who is a real champion for the brand. He comes to the live events, shows up, supports, remembers things, writes things down. Really, really helpful. A great member of the community. XX307, always, again, very same thing, always present, always helping at the live events. And Irish Mac 21. Just reliable, great people. That is what's so
I
cool.
see more.
Yeah.
That's the engine right there, not Bobby and I,
Circling
but the
is
other names
not
on there.
worth,
That's what other channels would die for, man.
If you just
People who are
think
here,
you look
support.
at him and what's
Thank you, H28 Mikey.
Thanks,
and
Mike.
how
Yeah.
I damn ended up one of
Yeah.
the I'm agreeing with WWE.
That part is underrated.
He doesn't even know what he's trying to say.
Daniel
No, I do.
Garcia's
I hate this one.
You love it.
50
I'm actually not
or
afraid to say it.
100.
You
I
love
wish
it.
it was.
Wow.
I wish it was half as long.
Unbelievable.
What if it was just starting at wow?
I made like
I wish it was just. I think it gets really strong in the back half. The first half of it drives me insane because I'm like, it's already a long. Anyway, it's already a long clip. There's no reason to
No
make it
doubt
slow.
about it. Thank you to all those people very much. It means a lot.
I believe the next thing is podcast. Yeah. Oh no, this is yours.
Cool. So as people know, I'll just chat a little bit about this one, Zubes. I've been keeping track of the scores that we take at the top of Double Dudes every week on the 1 to 7 scale, 1 being the worst, 7 being the best. And I have charted them all. Okay, Microsoft Excel has charted them all onto a graph. Now you'll see December is not there because I've been assembling this slideshow. So I didn't do the last month, but I don't think it would be affected much by the last 3 episodes of Dynamite. Zoobs, anything jump out at you as you look at this?
January 29th. What did I go? 3? Good for me, man.
275, I believe, Zoobs.
And what's that other one? What's the other one where I'm way low and everybody else sort of thinks it was mid? What's that? Is that August?
Looks like August 13th, maybe.
Seems about right. I think this is mostly what between 5 and 6 most weeks. And January, you can sort of circle this and figure out what was happening. It's like you can circle this as like, here's Death Riders against Cope. Is that the first real nadirs, especially your blue lines really low. That's very clearly Cope, the Cope zone. Jeff Jarrett is running around in there. And then I think as you approach, I think you're right there in the middle is you're getting like, we're building to All In. We have Arena Mexico. We are starting to see the benefit, the payoff of how low it was. And then settling into the back half of a fairly strong, pretty good year. I think this is pretty indicative of where they were. I know that years previous we would have had a lot more 7s. I think I have 3 7s from me and 3 from me and 2 from you. 3 from me and 3 from you in there. Maybe I have 4, and 4 from the audience. So that's good. I think that's about right. They do some stadium shows, they do some bigger shows. There's Blood and Guts, there's Arena Mexico. So I think this is about right. Between 5 and 6 most weeks seems right.
Do you mind hitting spacebar once, please, Bobby? So the average score this year, the audience, 5.8 for Dynamite. The Zoobs, 5.5 for Dynamite. Myself, 5.2 for Dynamite. But a very similar window. If you take the average of the average, sort of a 5 exactly for Dynamite this year. That's a pretty good showing, hey, Zoobs?
Yeah, it just makes me laugh that, like, I believe in my heart that you like the show way more than I do.
The scores don't reflect it, Zoobs.
I know. I don't know. It's it's like you. I know you do. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm not sure. It's not what the data says.
I'm grading them, but I feel like in my heart you're enjoying the shows more. It always makes me laugh. Is like you are always lower. You're generally lower than me most often than not until except for that part where I was like, I'm gonna really put my claim on this, and you had like a
Maybe
five and a
because
half,
I
and I was like,
love it more, I'm
right,
harder on it.
100%. And then I think the audience is people. I'm not surprised by the 5.8 from the audience. People don't want to come in and talk about a show they don't like, right? People
Yeah,
don't. It's the same as the like interest in wrestling score. If it was below, if the audience average was below 5, people would not be watching the show. You know what I mean? So I'm not surprised by that.
exactly right. Let's hit spacebar one more time here, Bobby. The biggest disagreement happened on September 18th, where we're a full point and a half apart, Zubes. You with a full 7, me with a 5.5. We never once went beyond a 1.5 disagreement. More what surprises me here on a 7 scale, I suppose that's pretty wide. But any thoughts on that? 1.5 points apart, the most different we ever were.
This was the one that was in London, Ontario.
Oh, so it was
This
Ontario bias. That makes sense.
Yeah, this was Fletcher versus Hangman signing the qualifiers for All Out. I think we had some cope, and yeah, Hangman and Kyle Fletcher signed a contract. Darby Allin and Moxley sent their final messages before All Out. So I think that's the John Moxley Darby Allin prison
Yeah,
thing.
I think so.
Um, let's see, World Tag Team 4-way ladder match. Jet Speed defeat
That
Kill
was
Switch
cool. Yeah.
and Kip Sabian. Big Bill calls out Eddie Kingston.
Oh,
Yeah, Young
Eddie
Bucks.
Kingston is back is that night. Like
Yes,
we
Young
could always
Bucks against
say.
Bang Bang Gang. Mox beats Roddy Strong. MJF complains about the stipulation to Tony Khan. Bobby Lashley beats Tona Leoa. Christian Cage and Cope come face to face with FTR. Oh, I think this was we had the first of like Cage is corny and Christian is funny. I think the first time they did this, and clearly you hate. It was hard. You were never gonna make a Cope thing.
I had to make a point.
A 7. That was the great FTR is. This has to be a great match for you. That was a great one.
Let's hit
Yeah,
spacebar one more time, Bobby. What's up next here?
a great crowd that night too.
And only 4 times this year, Zoobs, where the chat, you and I all had the same score. February 19th, June 4th, June 18th, and July 30th. I would have thought the 3 of us would have been unanimous more often than that.
Interesting. I wonder what. There's too many shows to look at, but June 4th, June 18th, back to back.
Mm-hmm.
I guess they weren't 7s, just they were all the same
Oh,
score.
yeah. 2 of them are 5.5s. One is a 7, and I forget what the other one is.
It's so funny that I'm a 5.5 average. So 5.5 is like what I feel like what I say when I feel like I know the show was good, but I wasn't paying full attention.
Let's go
I
one
come
more
in and everyone
spot.
in the chat is a 6, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be a little. That's what always happens, right? Is I'll come in, everyone in the chat is a 6, and I'll be like, okay, I'll be a little lower than the chat, and you'll come in and be like, I'm a 5, and I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah, on the page, I try to not deviate, but at the end of the show, sometimes I do.
Josh
Let's
is
go
in
to the next
lower
page here. Let's see
because
what's on these Dynamites. The lowest scoring one was on January 29th. It was Will Ospreay defeating Brian Cage, Claudio
okay,
Castagnoli
I
defeating
have
Jeff. Yeah, go ahead.
I have the full rundown here. So keep this match card. First of all, only 5 matches. Look at those 5 matches. So it opens on
Okay, Zoobs,
Don
I got to go to
Callis.
the washroom. You run this card,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, yeah. Don Callis family beat down of Kenny Omega backstage that they show Will Ospreay. Then Will Ospreay has a 13-minute match with Brian Cage that never really hits the gear that you want it to. That match ends with the Callis family beating down Will Ospreay, and then Kenny coming in, and then the Callis family beating down Kenny and Ospreay. Then we go backstage. Adam Hangman Page does half a promo. He gets bumped into by MJF. MJF then cuts a promo on Jeff Jarrett, who then has a horrible 10-minute match against Claudio. That match ends with an MJF beatdown. We come out of that to Ricochet, who does a promo, and then still early in the company, Ricochet against AR Fox for 11 minutes. That ends in, if you can believe this, a Swerve Strickland beatdown. We've had 3 matches, all of them end in beatdowns. Then we go to a New York Minute backstage with Chris Jericho. That brings us into Switchblade Jay White against Wheeler Yuta for the second longest match of the night. That ends in, if you can believe this, a Death Riders beatdown. They are chased off by FTR and Cope, who cuts a promo. This may be the Pubes promo. May or may not. Then we go to Mariah May on the stage. That leads us into a Diana Perazzo and Vendetta video package, leading us into Mercedes Moné and Yuka Sakazaki to retain the AEW TBS Championship in a main event. Hughes was 2024. Thank you very much. Incredible. That's an incredible. I can't believe we kept doing the show after this. It's hard to believe that they put this show on in 2025. To be honest with you, I completely blacked out the infighting. You will be benefited to forget it. The infighting in the Discord about why are you guys worried about Jeff Jarrett being in the title scene? He's obviously not going to win. One of the worst arguments that I can imagine, that I can remember being had. It was the same thing as Cope. I'm sure Josh is going to be able to immediately run back into it. Oof, that was a weird noise. Yeah, Josh, I'm just sort of saying that like this was indicative. Both we had Jeff Jarrett title picture and Cope title picture, indicative of my least favorite argument of the year, which was why are you worried? Obviously, neither of the guys are going to win the title. To which my counter was always because I'm watching the show that it's happening on.
The only argument there is to make, it's like, oh yeah, you shouldn't be afraid this person you despise is in the world title scene. It's like, oh yeah,
But they are. So
yeah, there they are challenging for the title.
It's also
yes.
it's more nuanced even than just I hate this person and I have to see them in a prominent role. It's like they're booking a world title program where the best thing you can say about it is that the ending is a foregone conclusion. Why would you want that?
At least he has no chance. Awesome.
You
brother.
hope. So 5 matches, 4 heel beatdowns. The worst people doing their worst promos. Worst show of the year. Easy. I can't believe this happened in 2025. It makes me, I'll tell you what, it makes me really scared of January 2026 programming because the shitty first 2 months.
McVander's saying, I believe you and Josh both threatened the show after this episode. I believe that's right. And Bob, I hope you heard our big thank you for you for a meltdown in the subs up above. All right. Let's look at the highest scoring Dynamite. No surprise here.
Is this the Arena Mexico show? Yes,
Arena
right?
Mexico show opens with the Hangman promo. And we get, of course, we're not going to go through the whole card, but everybody I thought this was the Dynamite of the year. Maybe the best crowd and vibe ever at a Dynamite. Harken back to those early Dynamite days where I don't know if people remember because there isn't a dedicated AEW streaming service where they've ever said, here's everything, watch it. But early Dynamite crowds are insane.
Mm-hmm.
They're so loud. So nice to return to that, Zubes. I loved this card.
Yeah, this was a ton of fun. This is one of those ones where I think even though it's like on paper is a 10-person lucha match main event our ideal, no, but you have to sort of like allow yourself to get into the moment and what it was, and it was so good. The Mystico entrances alone,
That's
was
my
like,
favorite
oh my
song in
God.
recorded human history now.
I remember the week before. Remember you gave me like a keep it or kick it. Do you care about Mystico as a big like baby face guy?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't really know. He seems like a luchador. And then the entrance happened, and it's like, oh, never mind. This is the most famous guy on fucking planet Earth.
Actually, I care deeply.
He's Elvis Presley. Like, why didn't anybody tell me? Like,
Zubes, you know he hasn't used that theme in like 12 years leading up to that point.
Amazing.
And
you know who else used to do that kind of stuff in AEW? Anyway, moving on. Okay, now it's time to talk about the podcast. Listen, Ryan's not here, and for all the jokes, unbelievable year for the podcast feed. I feel like we finally got somebody who has real care and understanding and can stay up and make the edits and make it work. And of course, we also added Higher Brian to the podcast feed. So this stuff is all going to be from the Spotify Wrapped. Some stuff that's not going to be in here, just in general. Just wanted to say, like, this was the year that the amount of people that listened to the podcast on all platforms matched how many people watched on Twitch. And of course, the podcast feed gets Higher Brian, but the other feed gets 50 weeks of WBCW, and they get Battle House, which is to say, like, this was a really good year for the podcast, and we're really proud of it, and I'm really happy for it. I will say this. An interesting thing that Spotify gives you is who the most common musical artists are of the people
Yeah,
that listen to your podcast. And Josh, I don't know a lot about music. Maybe you can explain how this first slide came to
I
be.
can.
The di- It's of course, of course, it's the Deftones.
Zubes, I can explain it so easily. 4 words. Murder Brian, John Cullen. There you go. I got it all wrapped up for you. I feel like
think the
chat,
year
there's got to be
before-
somebody who likes the Deftones, I would think. I think this is, and it couldn't make more sense. This feels like a big time crossover wrestling brain band crossover.
It was
Not a band that I'm especially familiar with, though. I know some of the tunes, but I've never done the Deftones deep dive. Bobby, are you a Deftones guy?
Yeah, they're the only new metal era band. I don't really think that they get. It's not fair to lump them in with new metal per se, but in that era, they're the only one of those bands that I still have any kind of reverence for. Also, John Moxley's favorite band, if I'm not mistaken, from his book. He
Okay.
puts them
Zubes,
over
we might have just
massively.
found the connection. Maybe I needed to say Murder Brian, John Cullen, John Moxley.
Well, they certainly weren't in our top 5 of the year before. Is all I'm going to say.
So hi, Brian. So hi, Brian.
On a more serious note, the one that means a lot to us. Throw the second one up, Bobby. 21 people. We were the number 1 show of the year. We barely had 21 listeners total on Spotify before this. That's crazy. I think we were top 5 for something like 40 some.
Yeah.
We were top 10 for about 120.
100, yeah.
For 20 plus people, Wrestling Brain was their most listened to podcast in 2025. That's crazy. That's crazy. Niche of a niche doing a live stream that is not for that platform.
And
I
they
doubt
shit
the
on
cast-
you on it. They say, Nasty Cassie,
Yes,
hey, that's me.
half the hosts outwardly are hostile towards the audience. That's really cool. I thought that was wicked. And then when we went through this, I FaceTime Josh to pull these numbers up
Oh, this is
because
fun.
we didn't both get them. And I cautioned him. I was like, hey, listen, it's just Spotify. And most people listen through the Apple Podcast app because iOS is our most listened to format. So if the numbers are shitty, gird yourself. But we pull up the final slide. Plus
The numbers were not shitty.
433% listens year over year. Incredible. Honestly, incredible. Big thank you to Ryan again for taking this on and making this his own and doing the edits and making it an appetizer, eatable, listen toable piece on there every week. Doing great work. Plus 433 sets a floor for us to achieve next year and hope that we are able to get a positive number up again because it's a big year. We launched Higher Brian. We had a lot of the pay-per-view post shows were on there more consistently. The preview shows got on there more consistently.
Those post shows do good podcast numbers too.
They do great numbers. They're what people come to the channel for. And, it's not lost on me how much it helps that the episodes are up at night. After I go to bed, I wake up in the morning and they've been up for 8 hours. After the pay-per-views, they're up the next morning, ready to go. The preview shows are up. Higher Brian is up. The stuff gets up. It gets edited. It gets put in there. And we really appreciate it. So a great year for the podcast, a great year for the channel. A great year for the chat. I think that's it for my stats, right?
I'd just like to say about the podcast real quick, echo your sentiments. Big thank you to Ryan, who's been just taking over this and has helped with the YouTube doing 2 highs, 2 lows for me, and has just had like a professional addition to the channel in a lot of ways that is appreciated. And yeah, Brian, the other MVP of the podcast feed. Thanks for being so much more popular than me. And well, it's a huge help, Soups. He has
Yeah.
he's much more popular than me.
Yeah, me
And
too, dude. He's way more popular than me too. I don't know why you only yourself.
well, you're also more popular than me, so it's a shit
Yeah,
rolls
but
downhill deal.
you said much. I think he's probably 10 times more popular than I am. So that's great.
All the same, really encouraging and encouraging in other ways too, where it's like, okay, we need to plumb other places where we have this content and shows and songs and all the stuff we're so proud of. And there's people waiting to hear it in places. So really nice to get a big win on the podcast feed this year for sure, Zubes.
Absolutely.
What's next, Bobby? Is that it?
Hot takes, I think. Yeah.
Oh, we're still getting to your hot takes. Zubes, do you have a hot take? If we went to you last after we looked through all those, could you think of one?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
should have warned
Yeah.
you in advance. That's my bad.
Not hard.
Okay. These were submitted. Now, Zubes, I said this last year. I'm gonna say it again. And I don't want to get negative. I love everybody, and I don't think there's anybody watching this right now. But some people's working knowledge of what a hot take is
Sure.
so bad. I'm reading through, 300 some odd hot takes. And I'm being 100 honest. 100 of them are not hot takes, either they're barely takes.
Mhm.
They're words. It'll just be like a comment on somebody. It'll be like, Mercedes Monet has good gear.
Mm.
Fire, dude. Anyway, let's get to them, Zubes, and I'll give quick reactions to each of them. We'll get sentimental at the very end, and then we'll get out of here for what must be our longest stream of the year. Thank you, Bobby, for manning the ship, and Zubes, thank you for calling in. Let's bring her home. What's the first pro wrestling hot take? Zubes, you want to read them aloud? I'm at fear of losing my
Sure.
voice.
Yeah, AEW needs more round robin tournaments. It adds consistent, meaningful matches that don't have an obvious outcome. Give me the moments. Give me a women's C2 and tag leagues. No belt that is defended throughout the year, just a trophy. I mean,
3
build the whole plane
tournaments
out
a
of this.
year are we in?
Build the whole plane out of the C2 is like, I'm sort of arguing that and not really being that hot of a take either. I think the C2 is coming in and saying the C2 is the best thing AEW does. It's like the easiest fruit to pick to me.
I say yes to one of these, no to both. Would love a tag league, would kind of like a women's C2. Although I would like the women's C2 more if we hadn't just added a tag division too. Like I don't know how many, if we have enough pieces to support all this on that side, but yeah.
I don't really
Like
have
you,
interest in tag league. I'm officially, I think I'm gonna officially say it. I'm officially like giving up on the tag division. I can't come in here 3 years in a row and be like, they should really fix the tag division.
Zubes is
not
giving
gonna
up. Let's see the next take here.
Tony carried AEW for most of this year by herself.
Bad one.
She certainly there are certainly parts of the show. There were certainly weeks. I'll say this. There were certainly large sections of the show, weeks and months at a time, where it was clear they didn't have anything for her to do, but they had to have her come out and wave to the crowd. Like she would come out and do commentary, or she would come out and be the sixth member in a 6-person tag. She helped with Windsor. I can see where this comes from because there were weeks when as much as like it's like it's like as much as you can go, well, Mox carried the year, right? That I think revisionist histories about 2 months when people were like, I don't want to fucking see Mox anymore, right?
Mhm.
And Tony never got that. We
That's
never
true.
got the I don't give a shit who beats fucking Mox as long as it ends, which we did get to, and they pulled out of it because it was a bigger vision. But that had I don't want to watch this anymore heat at it at a
Definitely.
certain point, and
That's true.
Tony didn't. So I can see where this comes from. It's a little strong, but you asked for a hot take and you got one.
What's up next?
Kenny Omega is overrated.
Come on.
It's tough.
Guys hanging on by a thread and put on the match of the year winner. What
This
are
is
we
my
overrated?
favorite. Yeah, this is my favorite thing. I was doing as I was doing Stu Hart research today. This is like the last 2 or 3 years is like the Kenny Omega year where you're like, oh, he didn't really accomplish much. Just the match of the year. Like he only had the match of the year and fought Okada this year. It was just like you said, he had 7 matches this year, and it's like match of the year against Gabe Kidd, fought Okada, fought Takeshita, and fought Blake Christian for some reason in a singles match. He used one of
Right.
his 7 bullets on Blake Christian this year.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah. But
Um,
it's just one of those ones where it's like, are you talking about right now, or are you talking about body of work? Body of work, you have no argument. Right now, this argument rests on the idea that there's anybody on earth right now calling Kenny Omega the best wrestler in the world, which I don't think there is.
yeah, this is the Beatles suck to me. It's just like, all right,
Sure.
man. Yeah, thanks for coming out. Let's see
What do
the
we got
next
next?
one here.
Rhea Ripley is the best wrestler in the world.
Come on, man. You don't think that?
Certain
There's no
people,
way.
certain people, uh, I can see why people are like cripplingly attracted to Rhea Ripley. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, sure, but is this a measurement? The best, you got to be the best wrestler in the world. I never see a promo. I think this. Whoa, I get the sense she's a decent worker, but I don't know. Best wrestler in the world?
Hmm.
I don't
It's
agree with
certainly a
this.
statement. Probably not even the best women's wrestler at all, you know?
I wouldn't say the best women's wrestler in WWE, whose last name
Oh.
has an R in it. Let's go to the next one here, Bobby. Let people chew on that.
"2026 will be the worst year in wrestling top to bottom in over a decade, mostly because WWE is buying up competitors and the super indies are dying off." It's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
This is an interesting one. I have a little bit of time for this one. I can see, not that I believe it, I can see how you would get here logically, right? Follow me for a second. 29, okay, so we're talking about 2015 is your sort of last, 2016 is your decade, right? So you have New Japan as a really, really viable alternate, and NXT is a pretty good, if you're into the indies, NXT is sort of bubbling up. New Japan is very exciting. Over the next 4 years, that becomes big enough that you have AEW, that was undoubtedly a very exciting year for wrestling. And then you survive the pandemic. AEW excels. You do well enough that you bring back Punk in 2021 and 2022. Then you have a really hot year for WWE on the other side of that. And you have AEW figure out how to counter that by putting on this giant stadium show. They're buying up everything they can. And now I can see the logic in WWE has no real reason aside from like, we've already signed the contracts, we already made the deals to really push their product forward. You could argue, if you wanted to, if this was your take, that AEW has used a lot of the bullets that they had, right? They've had all the dream matches, they signed everybody they could possibly want to sign, and a lot of those guys are on, some of those guys are on the downswing. The Elite's in the downswing. Kenny is held together with duct tape. Osprey can't stay healthy. Okada's floating in and out, and how much he cares. You have some guys that are coming up in the future, but maybe aren't ready to be the 2026 thing. And the scary part of it is you don't have the refillable roster pieces that you used to. There is no longer the what if they signed Okada. There's no long, they can bring in Gabe Kidd, which is exciting. It's not signing Okada. It's not bringing over CM Punk. It's not bringing in Adam Cole. It's not bringing in Danielson. So I can see this as less of a doom and gloom and more of a like, something is going to have to happen here. My optimistic take on this is, as it always does, somebody somewhere is going to figure out a way to be certifiably different with a capital D. They're going to decide that, hey, we can't be a super indie because AEW is a super indie. We can't be supersized because WWE has swallowed all that up. Like, drawing inspiration from the Ugandan one that is like fought on dirt. Like, it's certifiably different. Somebody's gonna have to come up with an idea that is like certified, whether it's shot different or presented different or the stories are told in a different way. I think the optimistic side of this is the business is going to be forced to change going into the 2030s, and the things that got you success in the mid-teens don't get you success in the 2020s. So I can see the argument here. I don't know if I if I am fully ready to buy in, but I can see where the logic comes from.
I mean, Zub's sort of a good take by you, decent take by this writer, but sort of ignoring the existence of Juggalo Championship Wrestling, who
Sure, Vince
has Vince
Russo's back.
Russo on screen every week.
Vince
So
Russo's back. So
you want to say no one's trying anything different? We look to the
yeah,
past to be in the
nobody's
future.
trying anything different. Somebody's hired Vince Russo.
Okay. Maybe not my best take. Yeah, I don't mind this one. I just feel like AEW is going to have a good year. I'm excited about Gabe Kidd. I'm excited about Eddie Kingston. I'm excited about babyface John Moxley and the potential team ups there. There's things that I am there for. Listen, my interest in wrestling is at its best when AEW is doing good and New Japan is doing good. So if both these companies could go on and have a good year after a year that I thought New Japan had a real stinker, it wasn't that good.
Yeah,
That would help sort of. You say 2026 will be the worst year in wrestling. I'm pretty interested in Noah right now. Ozawa's back. If
I was
New
about to
Japan
say.
has a good year, there's lots of room for improvement. Everybody but AEW had kind of a bad year for me. GCW and I are low, and New Japan and
Yeah,
I are low. So I'm trying to weigh it all. But I
I was
see what
about
you
to
mean.
say, like, people talked about Noah this year in a way that you haven't heard in a really long time, and I think that's an interesting upswing as New Japan swings down in a lot of
They did good
positioning.
arena business this year. Noah, like sold tickets.
I think it's good that that sort of that cycling happens, right? Same as it is in North America. It is good, and it's a sign of, I think, a healthy fan base that people are still searching for it, right? Of like, New Japan's not good. Let's see what Noah has to offer, and you get a
Yeah,
little bit into that, and they get a
that's
little
right.
inspired. Like that's what real love based out of. Okay, what's next? Sorry, I'm taking too long with all these takes. I apologize.
That's okay, too.
Darby should never win the world title. That's a hot take. Nice work,
I
Josh.
mean, I just very much disagree. Feels like he will have a maybe this is too on the nose, but it just feels right. He will have a Jeff Hardy title win moment where
Yeah,
he finally sneaks through and the crowd is like, whoa, I'm actually surprised by how over this is. People forget Jeff Hardy like changed the business of TNA. When they were doing really poorly, they're like, oh, we'll strap up Jeff Hardy. People were paying crazy ticket money, like change their business for Jeff Hardy. And I really think Darby Allin can be that sort of magnet. Don't like this one.
yeah. I don't. It's funny there. He's you talk about cards they can play that they haven't played.
Yeah.
Darby on top is a thing where it's like, for the complaints that I have had about everything feels a little same. Everything. This is the antidote to that.
Yeah. Totally.
Also, did nobody watch him topple Samoa Joe for the TNT title with Sting giving that insane promo where he's like, "Go get your title back"? Like, they could just do that again. The blueprint's already there, and it would be so awesome.
I love that feud. One of my favorite feuds in AEW, Joe and Darby. I can just easily say that. See the next take here, please, Bobby. Oh,
No, I'm not even gonna say it out loud. I
you
refuse.
have to, Zubes.
I don't. AEW should partner with TNA. You can't write a worse idea.
Well, they
You
did
can't.
it, Zubes.
You couldn't write a worse idea in 2020 going into 2026.
Yeah, I don't even know what this person's thinking. Maybe, okay. So let's just say this person doesn't have the best working knowledge of how wrestling works because we are geeks in this zone, right? So let's assume they don't really know the like WWE wall that this would be. What's even like the matchup that you're hot for,
I don't know any.
Santana versus Ortiz, I guess maybe. I'm not really
I'm not.
sure.
I don't know any. No, I got nothing.
Zoobs, any interest in
No.
Moose? They got Moose.
No, no, thank you.
Zoobs, they got Moose.
I know. I know they have moves. Yeah,
I'm not talking about
they
the
have.
dessert Zoobs, the wrestler Moose.
They have Dolph Ziggler with his real name over there. So that's great.
Have they ever matched those guys up? Do you think?
I can't imagine. Probably. I don't know. I have no idea. That's horrible.
Let's get. Oh, I think that might be it. Let's see. Oh, one more.
Hangman immediately cools off once he wins the championship. He's all about the chase. Unfortunately. Yeah. He's built to be the underdog who has to fight through everything. I think that's fine. His character grows through each permutation. I agree with this generally. I did think he felt leveled up as champion and as a like straight shooter, good guy in a very classic mold. I don't know if that meant that the quote unquote title run is satisfying to the level people want it to be, but I thought he was a noticeably better version of himself as champion.
I think our favorite version of him, safe to say.
Easily, yeah.
Sludge Williams absolutely killing me by saying Tommy Dreamer versus Cope could happen if
There we
we
go.
went
Yeah.
through.
Pinch
I'll say this. While I do think there's a chance this is true, I actually think his title reign was kind of poorly booked and very well performed, which makes it kind of hard to say this about.
yeah.
Who's his big heel opponent he gets once he beats Mox? He goes to Fletcher, which is, no one thinks the TBS champ is beating Hangman Page. He was really missing, I thought, Jay White getting injured at that point and not being able to pay off their rubber match. He really would have been well suited as like a solid heel win for Hangman Page. And then there was one more I remember that the circumstance
MJF.
just, yeah, sure, that's right, MJF, the circumstance just wasn't there for. So while this, I think
He
there's a
defended
chance
against
this is
Mark
true, I
Briscoe
don't really
too.
know that we got enough data to extrapolate this from. Do you know what I'm saying?
Every single rivalry felt like it was short notice. Every single thing they made
Yeah.
him do felt like it was he had 2 weeks to heat it up, and sometimes it was okay, sometimes it was nothing. It never felt like they got the spark that they had in the build, which of course was him learning to become a better person to overcome the Death Riders.
How much respect does this take, and just sort of this general sentiment, which is very real, give us for the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada, who is a babyface champion on top for 2 years and beat everyone on the roster 2, 3 times, and everyone is just going, "Feed me more." Hell yeah. Who could beat this guy? Sure, we love Naito. Kadesha! We love it. Yeah, we love Ishii, but like Kadesha! Oh, yeah. Kenny Omega's so over, greatest Canadian wrestler. Kadesha! Lay down. I mean, it's outrageous, and everyone's just like, "Go off, Kato. You're the best booker of all time." And all he's doing is being like, yeah, well, the babyface on top will work 45 minutes. He'll sort of take it easy for a bit, but once he gets going, no one can compete with him, and everyone agrees it rules. How did he do it?
Who's to know?
There's no way to know. Zubes, I believe that will do it for
Sure
our
thing.
year end show. Like Santa McFoley is saying, old Saint Mick, if you like. Thank you for this year. We mean it from the bottom of our hearts. It's so fun to do Wrestling Brain, and we appreciate you all very, very much. Zubes, any words for the Brainiacs here on the year-end show?
No, thank you all for a great year. Josh, thank you as always for being the heart and soul of this thing and for keeping us moving forward every day at all times, doing whatever it takes. None of it happens without you. So it is clear that this is a labor of love, and that is where the connection, I think, with everybody comes from. So thank you as always for an incredible year.
Bobby, any words? I know on the year-end show, again, patreon.com/J0SHC, if you want that on Tuesday. But anything else here at the end of a long journey, Bobby? Thank you for all of the production tonight.
No, just super appreciative of the audience for when I get to work the shows, but also of you guys. Just half the time or more, I'm in the audience. So thanks for continuing to do it, especially after January 29th of this year. And yeah, I think Josh, you said, I think you said this 2 years ago on the year-end show that, if it brings any comfort to people, you wanted to tell them that you'll be doing this for as long as you're alive. You'll have a mic in front of you somewhere talking about wrestling. So thanks for holding true to that.
That's very nice of you guys. Lots of kind words coming in lately. I appreciate them all. But it just bears saying the team we have is Dutch Mantel voice, unbelievable. It is so fun to do the Wednesday night show with Zubes and to have just one of the most cherished people in my life that you know how hard it is to do like a creative project for this long weekly, never have had a disagreement, never have had a curse word between one another. Just positive, 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 enjoy the whole way. And I don't take that for granted. And he's not here right now, but Slack on Mondays is we have so much fun. And I think Slack and I get to connect over being like big kids about WBCW and letting our imaginations fly. And it's very silly in a way that I don't think I would be able to do that with absolutely everybody. And then on Wednesdays, of course, Ryan has just added so much, and I love having him on Wednesdays. And Two Highs, Two Lows on our YouTube channel, I think, is good, and I think it's getting better. And so that's it's really nice to be building that with him. And I think he's got something good going with Hardest Podcast to Podcast too. And then Bobby, of course, just the most talented person that I talk to on a daily basis and is just capable of things that I would dream of to be as whole roundedly talented. I mean, if you had to build somebody to be helpful for a project like this, it would just be
Mhm.
Bobby. Like, especially and Zooms, I'm not shitting on you and I here, but we have very
No.
similar skill sets, you and I would say. Not that we're the same, but we bring sort of similar offerings. And Bobby is just like, well, what if I filled every gap and was just you don't even need to communicate it to me. Everything will look so cool and be so a bullseye. So I love working with this team, and I love Wrestling Brain. And yeah, I meant it. I will always be somewhere doing this kind of thing. It brings me, I don't know about 2 a week or 3 a week, but once a week, you can count on me, baby. Bad as can. 2 hours and 45 minutes is more than enough. I hope you all have a very and a loud mess. We'll see ya. A Double Dudes isn't back until the new year, but we're back Monday with Uncle Loudy's Loud Mess. So come check that out. And I hope you all have a very fun week coming up. Eat some junk food, relax, have your feet up, give somebody a hug. Love and energy. We'll catch you all very soon.